Hey everyone, this is Goggin from Endless Backlog. I just want you to know that this is the beginning of our Game of the Year podcast discussion. If you don't know how we do business, you should probably check out what Giant Bomb does when they do their Game of the Year podcast. It's basically that. We go around in a circle, cut some games, and eventually we end up at a top 10 list. Now, I think this year we went way overboard and got really passionate defending some games, so we ended up recording for a shitload of hours on Sunday. So this podcast is done in two parts. This first half, we don't actually end this first half with an actual top 10 in place. We actually end it with a really lengthy discussion on Super Mario Maker. So if that sounds like something you don't want to fucking listen to, I would suggest that you just skip right on ahead to the podcast right after this one, because that you'll get the top 10 and how we came about to our Game of the Year. This is a lot of games that got cut, but we were really passionate about and wanted to talk about because I felt like these games deserved their shine a bit. Also, in certain cases, I just want to shed on something, you know? Otherwise, hope you enjoyed both podcasts, but if you skip this one and go to part 2, I don't blame you. Enjoy your day. Welcome to a special edition of your number one amateur hour podcast, the Endless Backlog podcast, as told by me, Gagandeep Singh. Hope all is well where you are. Joining me today is Christopher Compton.
Been waiting all year for this.
All year.
All year.
But you didn't even know Witcher 3 was going to be that good all year until May.
Of course I did.
Ben Minkoff.
Hell, it's about time. Finally did this thing.
Hi, my niece is here. What up? Alright, you gotta go. I'm recording. William Berger!
Yo, what it is, what it was, what it shall be. Ben made a StarCraft reference, and I understood it. Thanks, Ben.
This is gonna be the most amateur hour of our podcast.
That's the only concession I'm giving to StarCraft.
We'll see.
Mr. I'm in charge of the site never breaking, Adam Wazdovich.
The site's still up, so I think I'm doing my job right.
You're doing a fantastic job these days. Philip Ramona Hartmeyer.
Could we not? Or what?
I forgot the Felipe part. You know, it's been a while.
It has been so long.
It has. I've been. I'm a busy guy.
Don't worry. In the next month, we're gonna have you on a lot more because we gotta talk Life is Strange because Chris is gonna play that soon. We gotta talk Witcher 3 because I'm actually gonna finish that game soon.
Yeah.
Well, hit me up.
Yeah.
You actually got to get a hold of me if you want me on.
Well, yeah. Well, that's usually we've turned podcasting into
we text
Tuesday.
all the time, but this never comes up, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, podcast days become Tuesday now, so it's like, okay, and then you're like, yeah, I got the kid. I'm like,
Oh, well, I mean, I always have a kid, but the kid is less of a burden these days.
Yeah. So. And Brian, I'm only here so Goggin doesn't cut Super Mario Maker Markheim.
Hello, everybody.
He's
Thanks
just here so he doesn't get fined.
He's our Marshawn Lynch.
I'm only here, so I won't be fined.
All right, so this is our Game of the Year podcast. The goal of this podcast is to come up with 10 games for our top 10 games of the website. That way, you have some context for how we came up with our top 10 and find out that really putting a list together is complete and utter bullshit of the highest order. Rules are pretty simple. No shit arguments. Try to make good ones.
I'm out. See you guys.
You're
later.
asking way too much from this
that's
group, man.
wow. That's a big.
And then the third one. This is the crazier one. Don't be petty when your game gets cut.
Oh,
This isn't the Game of the Year podcast.
I didn't sign up
What are
for
you
this.
talking about? No.
Anyway,
I never asked.
Like
That
an
was
adult
the-
thing.
All right, so currently, we do have a few games that I've already locked in, as in they're not going to get cut, although that's about to change in a few seconds as well. Start things off, Bloodborne is locked in. We will not be cutting that from our top 10 this year, regardless of what Ben Minkoff thinks, without playing it. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Story. I think it would have been better if you said The Phantom Plot. Rocket League is also not getting cut because fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is absolutely locked in.
As is apparently its expansion.
The Witcher 3 Heart of Stone. Pocket Mortys, which I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
It's a mobile game based on Rick and Morty that came out really recently.
It's a Pokemon clone.
So
It actually
that's
came
cut.
out in 2016.
Yeah. So that one is not live.
That's disqualified.
Hold on. Game of War Coin Pack 4.
Best value.
Best value.
That's value. Yeah, that's definitely locked in for Game of the Year.
So apparently we have a Best Value award. So Game of War Coin Pack 4, congratulations.
All right.
Best Value
first
this
award.
I
year.
did it for Kate Upton.
Man, I hope they tweet us back on this.
And then I'm actually not against this pick, but number 5 is Squid Jump.
That's got
the jumps.
We can cut
Oh.
Splatoon and just put Squid Jump.
I
in.
thought Squid Jump was Splatoon.
It's a game inside of Splatoon.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
game within a game.
So it's part of the whole thing. So
It's meta.
when we talk about Splatoon, you need to keep that in mind.
So there are a few games I have moved forward. I put this under contentious, as in someone's probably gonna fucking argue with you. So that's why they're not locked. Just we're not cutting them right away. Life is Strange, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Ori and the Blind Forest, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, and Undertale.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a good list.
And then currently, there is an honorable mentions. These are games some of us would have liked to get to, but none of us did. So
I played some of these.
Did you?
Oh,
Really?
you did?
Yeah.
Which ones can you talk about?
Which one did you play?
I played Axiom Verge. I played Kerbal Space Program. I played Shadowrun Hong Kong. I played The Beginner's Guide. Do I want to talk about any of them? Not really.
Okay,
Okay.
well then there you go. They're getting honorable mention. These games are pretty okay. Go get them. Not enough of us care to talk about them. Affordable Space Adventures. It's apparently like one of the few unique things that came out of the Wii U pad. It's a rare gem apparently. Axiom Verge is apparently pretty good Metroid. I didn't play it. Phil did.
It's good.
Book of Unwritten Tales 2. If you like point and click adventure games, apparently it's a really good one. The Escapists seems like a pretty rad strategy game, and it's basically like playing The Great Escape. So fuck, that's awesome. Galaxy has some fucking rad visual design. Gravity Ghost is a game I gave for Ben for free because Steam gave it to me. I don't really know why. Hand of Fate. You play an action game with Batman combat and you use Yu-Gi-Oh cards to power up your guy. That thing's kind of cool to me. Anyway,
Can I just go play that instead of doing this?
right? Kerbal Space Program. Why the fuck didn't you play that game, Brian?
You only had 4 years to play it.
Gosh, I should have really jumped in on it back when it was released in the 1970s. I really should have.
Shadowrun Hong Kong. Stealth Inc. 2 or Stealth Bastard 2. The Beginner's Guide, because we played Stanley Parable and then decided not to play its sequel.
That one's not really a game.
I mean, it's...
Or is it?
and
is it?
then-
A debate for another time.
And
It's
then
good. I think
Westerado Double Barrel, which I know Ben wanted to try but didn't. See, even the card
Yeah.
disappointed you. Now we can properly backspace these because they've gotten their mention. So if you're one of those people that actually wants those games on this list, sorry we didn't play it. Otherwise, here are the games we will be talking about in the early going. A lot of these will get cut. A lot of these have been adjusted from their original point. So I'm going to read these exactly as they are written.
So I won't touch on that.
We have Assassin's Creed, an American Code Monkey in London. Batmobile Arkham Knight, probably the most appropriate one, actually, when you think about it. Broforce, City Skylines, Crypto the Necrodancer, Destiny the Dancing Queen, Downwell, Dragon Ball Z Xenophobe, Dying Light, Duck Game, Sellout 4, aka Fallout 4, the Final Fantasy game that comes with the Final Fantasy 15 demo, Grow Home, this is definitely a Phil edition, Halo 540p Guardians, Helldivers,
That's my favorite.
Her Story, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Again.
The
The
salt.
game keeps on giving.
Listen. Sports rules apply. To be the man, you gotta beat the man. And I don't think there's a more appropriate podcast demand than Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
I would agree with you.
See, there you go.
Sure.
Hot Mess Miami 2, wrong number. Infinite Factory, Invisible Ink, David Bowie, rest in peace. Mortal Kombat X, Nuclear Throne, Pillars of Eternity, IKEA End Tables of Forever.
What is that?
Oh, it's Kerbal Space Program. No, that's not what it is. Alright, no, Brian, seriously, what game was that?
It's the best game.
He just wrote Pillows of Eternity again.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Rock Band 4, Coma, also known as Soma. StarCraft 2, Legacy of Delays.
Accurate.
Sunless Sea, TIS 100, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Instincts, Predator, Vengeance,
A lot of things.
Transformers Devastation, Until Dawn, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D Sucks, Warhammer End Times Vermintide, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and Xenoblade Chronicles Y, and Xenoblade Chronicles Red and Blue.
I think we need to consolidate those.
we can definitely consolidate
We have to pick one.
those. Sybil, Tales
Tales from the Borderlands.
Tales from the Borderlands, Tomb Raider Go, Tomb Raider Leave, Tomb Raider Get Out of Here. Fuck for Rayman 2, Rayman 2, The Ape Escape, and Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars.
Didn't
Yeah.
that come out in 2013 though? Isn't it disqualified by?
Didn't Rayman 2 come out in 1999?
Yeah, I'm
so
pretty sure
those
that.
two-
And Revengeance, I'm pretty sure that came out.
So the
Um,
Vengeance
When
When
did
came
David Bowie
out.
come out?
I'm
Vengeance
pretty
did
sure
come
that
out-
David Bowie isn't a video game, but I mean,
Yeah.
It's not
And I
fair to
don't
his
think
career.
IKEA ever made a video game. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna.
when you take out all the games,
I
that
mean, the
are-
thing is with an IKEA game is they give you all the parts, and then you have to code the
Yeah,
code the
alright,
rest of it
so-
yourself.
it was
Star Citizen.
developed by Bethesda. That's what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
This podcast is already gone.
So it's Star Citizen.
So anyway,
Shut the hell up, Phil.
Time out. All right, now that we've gotten that part through, I made some adjustments. We're turning Tomb Raider down to Tomb Raider Go. I agree. Rayman 2 is not on this list, especially if Ape Escape isn't on it. And then I forgot what the last one. I'm also gonna say Majora's Mask. Me, Will, and Phil are correct in saying that it's a very good game. Dare we say great game? And Chris is on
dare.
crack. And
Why is
unfortunately,
Revengeance
it is
out
a
there?
port. Hold on, I'm getting to it.
Oh.
It is a port. Let's
It's actually a remake.
remake, whatever. Right, it is a remake. You're correct. They did redo a lot of things for that game.
But
But
it's
at the end of the
did they
day,
make it good this time?
it was good every time. Anyway, it's not fair to games that were actually.
It's true because it would just win the list.
Same
Well,
with
yeah.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
Yes, unfortunately,
it
it
did
is
come out on mobile in 2015.
Even though
I just want to say,
an excellent port, and Phil and I will stop at nothing to get a Metal Gear #1. That we would put a second Metal Gear game, that, even though we've already celebrated Revengeance enough.
I would stop at nothing to get the right Metal Gear game at #1.
I mean, if you're saying that Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Ply, is a better game than Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, we can have that argument still.
Let's not have that argument because we might be here until next week.
Yes, okay.
We've got enough
Otherwise-
arguing to do.
Otherwise, not gonna lie, even with the adjusted names, I'm actually cool with not fixing this right now because it's like, at least know what that game is on some level. So, gents, are you ready to start the cutting?
So how are we
here-
gonna go about this?
Here's the order, since I have gone with basic alphabets so far. Adam gets opening cut. Ben, you get second cut. Brian, if I'm pretty sure my B's work, you would follow Ben because R comes after E.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Chris, you would get fourth cut.
Jesus.
I get cut number 5, so I am after Chris. Phil goes after me, and then Will gets last cut. So are we all fine with that order?
Sure.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Adam, do the honors.
All right, let's start out with. I say Transformers Devastation.
Well,
I haven't played it, but
I agree.
that's where I'm just saying that because from what I've heard, it's fun, maybe a return to the B game, but let's be honest, not game of the year material.
It is very, very much a B game. It is low tier platinum. I think it comes out smelling better because Legend of Korra sucked so much that it was like, oh yeah, no, Platinum and Activision is gonna be really shitty. I think it's ridiculous that game is priced at $49.99 to launch, but like as we've stated before, in this day and age, you can get games really cheap. But it's a good beat 'em up.
Yeah, but like really cheap in that case is still like $25. I'm not playing.
I mean 25 I think is fine.
If it was a Beast Wars game, maybe.
Oh man, I can only imagine.
It is
That's worth the
G1
extra 20.
Transformers, man. The art is really good. I really like a lot of the bosses. I did say this with Ben though, like it is. People joke that the From Software game has become a thing. The Platinum game has become a thing as well. Secretly, unless it's Bayonetta or Revengeance where they're really specific with it. It's been light attack, heavy attack. They have a parry system. They have a slow-mo, slowdown. And it's like, okay, how about you do something different?
Hey, whatever works, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, but when you're producing like, beat 'em ups, which nobody really makes, and nobody really makes beat 'em ups anymore, and
and they're doing Ninja Turtles soon, so fuck yes. Anyway, I wish that one was 2D though. But either way, I agree with Wazzy. Transformers can go, but that's fine.
All right.
R.I.P. Transformers.
All right, Ben, you're right next on deck.
Okay. The only one of these games I haven't really heard like anything about whatsoever
So then
is Warhammer, actually.
So Matthew was supposed to be on this podcast, so since he didn't show up, that can go.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a really good 4-player co-op game though.
And it's a properly priced 4 players. Only 40, like what, 40 bucks, 30 bucks?
Like what kind of 4-player co-op game? Is it like
Think Left 4 Dead.
Think Left 4 Dead and Killing Floor, really.
Yeah.
It is actually
Melee, I
pretty
guess.
So
neat.
it's first person?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's first person, a lot of melee combat.
There is a
level up.
persistent leveling system as well, so your
Yeah.
character, unlike it's not just match based, it's it's got a lot of meat to it. But I hear it gets really repetitive, really fast, which is fine when you're playing just with your friends.
Yeah.
But I don't think that really holds up when you're looking at game
The
of the
only
year material.
reason I didn't play
All
it
right.
more, I own it. It's just I haven't played it because only Emily and Wazzy own it, and we need. To
I don't own it yet.
Oh well,
So
then
I haven't
only
even-
me and Emily own it, and we need a third and a fourth.
All right.
All right, so that one's gone.
That was easy enough.
That's an easy cut, though. Brian.
Why don't we think
Wait,
about
before
cutting?
I cut you off,
Sure.
Sorry.
Okay.
You're allowed to ask, like, okay, why is that here? If you don't be afraid to just say, oh, I didn't play it. Like, just ask, like, all right, who's putting it here? Like, why?
Okay.
All right, so go.
I might push to cut Assassin's Creed, an American Code Monkey in London.
Didn't play it.
That's a good choice. I agree with that.
I don't have much, like a whole lot of love for Assassin's Creed, and this one seems to be the step in the right direction as opposed to the last one, which is a gigantic turd. It's just not good at all. But it just, nothing about it seems super great to me other than another Assassin's Creed.
So, Phil?
Phil, do you have any love for it?
Am I the only one here who's actually played this game?
You might be. Very well may be.
You might be.
We're all burned off on Assassin's Creed.
Spending money on Assassin's Creed in 2015.
Look, man, I get enough Ubisoft games a year, all right?
All right, so okay, I don't have any real candle to burn for this one, other than saying it is not a horrific dumpster fire.
That's
the standard setting for Game of the Year.
That's what
not
you
a
put on the back of the
dumpster
box.
fire.
That's about it. I don't
That's
know.
a quote you put on the back of the box, man.
It is a good one of those games. If you had to play one of those games, that's one that you could possibly play. That's about all I could say about it. I really like it. I am not gonna ever put it on my Game of the Year list. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So simply because it's called Assassin's Creed.
So it's not an avoid at all costs game, but that's not enough for it to
Listen, if you want to play Assassin's Creed at 900p, fantastic.
You have a working...
You and your peas.
Yeah.
My wife got it for me for Christmas. So.
You and your progressive scan.
But she also got me Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest V, so I can forgive her.
Kind of makes up.
So the Assassin's Creed was the joke gift.
I don't think it was meant that way.
It
but
looked fun.
we can get off
Honestly,
No. You know what?
Yes,
You
those
know
are
what?
fun.
Honestly, she got it for like $30, and I really like it, so I can't really say anything
Yeah, I
else.
was gonna
And
say-
you can
There's
play as a
grappling
female
hook, it can't be that
character.
bad.
I will say, Phil, would you say it's just if you like Assassin's Creed, you should probably get it because it's
Yeah.
fun?
Yeah, I think so. And
Yeah.
it like it gets right into the action. It doesn't like spin its wheels for a long time.
You mean like
Does it have,
Assassin's
like, a
Creed 3?
4-hour
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah,
tutorial
you
like
can play
Assassin's
as
Creed 2 does?
you can play as the female or the male assassin. And, the female one is
I was
obviously.
gonna
big
say,
for-
let's also, like, in between the dogpiling on Assassin's Creed, let us not forget that at one point, I want to say at least 6 out of the 7 of us enjoyed an Assassin's Creed game at one point. And in fact, at one point, Assassin's Creed wasn't like, there wasn't this negative
Right.
air around it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, you see,
Assassin's
they
Creed is a
added
cool game.
they added the grapple gun to this one,
Yeah.
so you just get
Well,
up
And
and
that
buttons
sounds
like
fun.
Batman.
So
Yeah.
So that it makes it a lot better because the buildings are taller in this one. Starting with Unity, they made them like a different scale, so they're actually taller.
Oh, you mean you're not just jumping on wood huts in the Caribbean?
Yeah, I mean, you're in London in this one.
So-
Right in London.
What you're saying is when
Yeah,
you can
Victorian.
be Batman.
Yeah,
Well, Christopher
Sure.
Compton, your cut.
I think it's a better
or-
Batman game.
yeah.
Oh.
Didn't Chris already
We'll get
go?
to that.
No, Chris didn't go yet.
Oh,
This is my first go.
Phil's been talking so long I forgot.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I assumed it was Phil's cut for some reason.
And now it's Chris's cut.
I remember us talking about this on a podcast once, and I was falling asleep. So, TIS 100, isn't that like a calculator game?
No.
Oh. What is that?
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Well,
One word, but like behind
TIS TIS 100 is one of the 2 puzzle games by developer Zachtronics on this list, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a programming game. It uses largely
It's a calculator game.
Yeah, it's a calculator
No.
game.
All right,
Programming-
let him finish. Like, what's
Programming is not
stability
like-
here? Yeah.
so it's like got like almost a assembly code kind of tool set, and you even like you can print out a manual, which I'm looking at right now. I have it right near my computer. So it's got basic instructions, and then you're using this simple interface to like solve various problems in a more difficult way because you don't have the easy kind of tools you would normally have for a computer. So if like you want to save a number, like each segment of the CPU can only hold one number at a time, and
Why don't you play this game?
it's an interesting challenge.
I code for a living. I'm not
work-
gonna.
he works this
I'm
game.
not
That's what I'm
gonna
saying.
do
Hey,
this.
no, time out.
Fun.
You say this? One of the girls I work with at the restaurant plays Diner Dash. I'm like, you train as for fun? Anyway, but no, Ben,
yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about this from people who code for a living. I don't. So,
Yeah.
but I still really like it as a puzzle
those
game.
people need
It's
a
very
life.
easy to.
Wait.
iterate on.
Here's the 2 things I'm going to ask. First and foremost, are you going to argue this or Infinifactory? That's the other Zachtronics puzzle game. And B, are you going to press to see if this game can make the distance? It's not going to go game of the year out.
I would think this game is going the distance, and I think just in terms of proper use of my energy, I don't need to keep it around. I'd like to see it go a little later, but you know,
I do have a question though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So everything you said about it sounds absolutely horrible, but I want to know, what I want to
Yes.
know is, are you adding numbers to make the numbers bigger?
you can do that.
See, I told you it's a calculator game.
You making the numbers bigger when you play?
Calculators can also divide, though, Chris.
You can make them
Sure.
bigger. You can make them smaller.
Oh, see?
Is there clicking involved?
No,
Okay, well, fuck it.
What
I'm typing.
interface are you using? Oh, it's typing, right.
you're typing things in. A lot of keyboard stuff.
Are you
know,
killing
text
zombies
text
while
editor.
you're
That's
typing?
how you program. You know.
Whatever.
Because if you're not killing things while you're typing, then inferior to typing of the dead, and we can move on.
Look, typing in the dead is a classic.
Yeah, whatever.
But it's not-
TIS.
Typing in
TIS. Listen.
All right,
We
it's
still
fine.
have
It's
one
fine.
more. We still have one more. We still have our annual puzzle game that can still go the distance. You just gotta believe. Or we save our energy until next year for the witness. Anyway, Chris, you are done. I believe after you is me.
Yep.
So I'm gonna cut the Final Fantasy game that comes with the FF15 demo, also known as Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. Reason why
yeah,
that
that
game
game.
counts and other HDs don't count is because that game never released in America until this year.
And now it's
released
cut.
anywhere.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that now.
I'm fine with that.
All right.
I want to play that game though.
Can I
should play that
say
game.
a couple
That
things
game's
about?
cool.
Only
That
if I'm
game
allowed
being-
to say why it's getting cut.
Sure.
Fine. Go.
Do you want to go first or should I?
All right. So my beef with the game. Yeah, I don't really care if you end it with positive. The few things bother me about that game. First and foremost, the story automatically lost me when everyone had amnesia and some of the characters were just so bafflingly stupid that one of them needed to be told what a cemetery is. Like, I'm willing to accept that they lose the memory of their loved ones and it's all grim and shit. I'm not willing to accept that people that work at a fucking military academy don't know what a graveyard is. Second, and this is more of like the larger issue with the game. It is very much a handheld game made for like a Japanese audience, for people who basically commute to work. And the nature, like, they make these type of games in a very specific way where there's a lot of, Peace Walker in a sense is a lot like this. There's a lot of grinding to that game, and they gave you a lot of characters to grind, and that just turned me off. Like, I was just basically like, I'm not committing my energy to this.
Did you ever discover the exploit you can do to level up people?
Well, so I know that you can go talk to basically the Poke Breeder guy, and you get leveled up while you go to bed, and that's cool. But like,
You can do that, but you can also set your clock forward 7 days and get 5 levels.
That's 3 logic.
That's what I was doing, and Will was kind of decrying me doing it.
Awful.
Yeah, I mean,
There's too many
like,
characters to manage at once. There really are.
Like, the battle system was a mixture of, sometimes it was interesting, other times I was like, alright, whatever. Like, certain like, Will's go-to character, King, for instance, I was like, yeah, but he just basically turns the game into easy mode, because there's like at least with Ace, you have to time your attacks. With King, it's just like, I'm gonna mash square, because one of those bullets is gonna be the critical hit no matter what. So it's all good. There was a cool Scythe Lady, she was fun, but...
Yeah, Scythe Lady was my main.
Scythe Lady was cool. I think
If that game if that game was a little bit tighter, I'd be more into it, which, well, I guess that's what Final Fantasy 15 is gonna be, but Type 0, I was just like, I don't want to play this. This is boring me in spots.
Can I say the positive things?
Yeah. I don't think mine was overly negative.
I think King wasn't my boy. I really liked, I think it was Seven who had the whip sword.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
She was fantastic. But I don't know. I liked the quickness of that game. Like, it feels fast. Mostly because the battles go very quickly because you have to time your attacks versus like the moments where they're vulnerable. And like just the world exploration parts of it where you could go back to the towns later on and talk to people, and you like the sheer variety of the characters. And I think the battle system is neat. I do agree that it is very handheld and very contained and very similar to Peace Walker in a lot of respects, but there's just a lot of cool ideas in that game, and ideally maybe they can take a few of them and turn them into something bigger and like, FF15.
And my beef with, and someone's gonna go like, well, that's not fair if it's a handheld game. Well, the world ends with you exists, and that game's fucking awesome. So I don't believe that your platform is that big of a limitation. Like, you can work around your limitation. But yeah.
Well, I guess it kind of is for this one because it is very segmented and built that way. But one of the things that I didn't like about the remaster was that some of the character models they did up in like gorgeous PS4 graphics, and then most of them
the textures are just like
PSP models.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, it's like you're talking to this person and she's like she's a PS1 person, and then you're like a PS4 person with like bokeh and shiny, and like
you're right, Mr. Vacuum. It does suck.
I agree. Yeah, even the vacuum.
Vacuum's like sucks.
Yeah. It's like, get this Final Fantasy crap off. Nah, anyway. Besides, I'm sure this upcoming year. This upcoming year in 2017 we'll have the Final Fantasy talk again. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess 2017's pushing it. Philip, your next cut.
Next cut.
I know where this one's going.
Do you?
I have a general idea where this is going.
You have a general idea.
He's gonna save that for later.
Okay. I want to cut Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Oh fuck.
I got no problem with that.
I haven't played it, and I wish that I had.
Investment in this, yeah.
Yeah.
So Chris and Brian,
it's us. Yeah,
are you two going to press to defend this game?
you want to go first, Brian, or?
Understand that unlike Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Phil didn't play this game, so you
you
actually have some room to work.
You don't like, if you got a very staunch defense and you feel very good about it, we can do a pass on that one. I can cut something different.
Do you feel like this is going to be contentions for you, Brian?
Well, here's the thing. Okay. I have put around 80 hours into that game. And there's a lot of things. Well, no. Let me get going first. Okay. There's a lot of things I absolutely love about this game, but I am A-okay with you cutting it. There's lots of little things that bug me about it. Like it graduated from the Wonderful 101 school of, hey, look at all these systems, we're not going to tell you shit about it.
Yeah.
Or
that's a great school.
That is a great school, but not everyone can get straight A's at that school.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very deep game. There's so much shit going on, and the scope and the exploration, is fantastic. And it's a wonder, and it's a technical marvel on a Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
But there's lots of little things like the quests aren't
Brian.
super great. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Have you gotten your mech yet?
I absolutely have.
Is the mech as cool as I think it is?
The mech is fucking awesome.
I continue with the questing issues.
There's a lot of gather so many of these things or fight so many of these enemies. They mix it up every so often with like side quests, but like the main story quests aren't great.
And I hear the main story takes forever to get going.
Well, I'll give you this. It takes you like 30 hours to get your mech. And
well, the mech doesn't necessarily have to be a part of the story. I'm saying like the actual
that's
plot.
true, but
like there's no rising action, there's no falling action, there's no, I don't know.
But taking 30 hours to get your mech is very kind of indicative of the entire experience in that everything takes too long to get going.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes 30 hours to get the mech. It takes 30 hours for the story to get going. It takes 30 hours for you to start understanding the more complex systems.
Mm-hmm.
What turns me off most about that game, Brian, I'm sure you've run into this too, is when you're trying to just focus on the story or the affinity missions, and it says, go explore 15% of this area.
Yeah, that's a shitty design.
That is a bad design.
Yeah.
It's,
not that I want to open up the conversation for something we're going to have to do later, but stopping me from doing something I've clearly fucking earned. Fuck you. I've always hated that.
Oh, I'm keeping that in my back pocket, don't worry.
No more heroes. I don't like that game for exactly that reason. Saints Row 2 is my least favorite Saints Row for exactly that reason.
I'm in the exact same boat as Brian with this game. I feel that I can definitely defend the same things he can defend on it, and it's one of those games that you just kind of wish was cut later. But I don't think I could.
Do you feel it's one of the top 10 games of 20?
Yeah, do you think it's deserving of being one of the 10 best games this year? Knowing that we still have games on this list that are pretty creative, knowing that it's in a depth argument, it's not necessarily the only game here with some depth to it. And I'll give you guys this free pass. While I do agree games should teach their systems, at the end of the day, if you two figured out those systems and like know them back,
I did.
Like the game is the game. Like none of us cared. Well, me and Phil didn't care that Revengers did a shitty job teaching people to parry. At the end of the day, we knew how to play it, and we said, no, that game's a badass action game. You get what I'm saying?
When Xenoblade is firing on all cylinders, absolutely should have been on that list, the 10 games of this year list. But every time it starts firing on all cylinders, you run right into a brick wall of a questing system that goes out of its way to be tedious, or a system that should have explained a long time ago, or a random difficulty spike that you feel that you were not prepared for.
Yes, there's definitely some of those. If there was like a top 20, I'd probably push it a bit more. But if top 10, it's out of the top 10.
All right, fine.
Okay,
I have one. Off the board.
I have one final question for you guys.
Yes.
Because I still might play this game. That 30 hours to get your mech, does it feel like 30 hours, or does it just kind of go by? Because there are some games where 30 hours might not feel like a whole lot,
and there's sometimes 30 hours seems like an eternity.
Right.
For me, not really. Didn't seem that long to me. As far as like stuff like, oh, you have to explore 15% of this continent or 20% of this continent. That fucking sucks.
Yeah, it sounds like.
But a lot of the time I've spent with the game isn't necessarily jumping straight into the story stuff, because I could be done with the game right now if I did that.
Sure.
But it's a lot of exploring this huge ass world. And so that by the time I actually asked me like, oh, hey, you've got to do like 15% of this, I already did that.
True. There's only one other world in video games this year that I would put above Xenoblade Chronicles X, because that is an amazing world. So beautiful.
Right.
And I just got flight on my mech, so I can actually go up to the top.
Yes, fucking flight mech. Oh, yeah. It's good. It's good.
Okay.
But not top 10 good.
All right.
All right, William. While you have to deal with this vacuum in the background.
This vacuum here, bro.
90% sure when I'm silent, it should only come from my mic, so I could probably get it out.
Can we cut Fallout 4 because fuck that game?
Oh yeah, I was about to say.
But you have to buy the season pass.
Nope.
Fuck
Nope, not doing that.
game. Fuck that studio. Cut it,
Already came
please.
$60. It's
Yeah.
too
I mean,
much.
put it this way.
The game is that was only there because we thought it was supposed to be there, and not because we actually were
No,
interested.
I thought that
in
game
the
was
list.
there because Phil and again Matthew was supposed to be on the list, and they both played it, so I was curious to see like, all right, what are they gonna say about Fallout 4? Like, I really want to know. Like,
I'm gonna say that in a world of like okay Bethesda games, it is not even that good. Like, fuck that game.
Okay.
all right, so fuck that. Fallout 4 is off the board.
Sorry, Reddit.
That was the opening round of cuts. I think that went.
There goes all the hate mail right there.
Yeah. Whatever.
We've got another round or two.
Hey, go
before
back
this
to
starts
building
getting
your
dangerous.
meaningless base. You know, like it's Minecraft. Only you
Not
fall
as
through the
fun.
world all the time and watch AI get caught on every little thing, and you die randomly from weird shit that happens because Bethesda can't program worth shit anymore, and you guys have been making excuses for them for the
what have
past
they been
15
doing?
years.
What have they been doing for 5 years?
No idea.
Nothing.
Like, this game
Yo,
is
yo,
worse.
yo.
There's more bugs in this game I've seen than Skyrim, and that's fucking impressive.
Oh, God.
At least in
man,
Skyrim, when you had a bug, it was like an elephant gets launched 50 feet in the air or something. like in this, it's
Something
like, oh
entertaining.
no, I can't progress the quest because I'm stuck on this terminal forever.
People keep giving them their money.
Because my frame rate's locked at 60. Like, it's ridiculous. Fuck this game. Fuck that game.
Fuck that game.
Okay, bye Fallout 4.
Wazzy, you're next.
I'd say let's Dying Light. Cut it. Anyone play it? Because I didn't. I wanted to play it. Looks cool.
So
but
yeah,
it
the
looks,
theme of this, I guess I should have
All
just
right.
cut Matthew's games in advance. But I did play it. I had like the longest GameFly rental of all time on it. And I was bored out of my mind playing it, so
I guess that's that. I mean, it looks
Alright.
fun.
It
It looks fun, but at this point, all these damn zombie games just really are blending
I mean,
together.
no, so here's the thing. I think that zombie games can absolutely still be fun, because, like, I don't get bothered by one enemy getting reused that much, but it doesn't have anything interesting going for it. Like, Dead Rising is, like, everything about Dead Rising is so unique as a game. It is basically using Majora's Mask structure, right, with, like, these really cool weapon systems that are fun to use. And then State of Decay, I think, is, like, one of the coolest survival games out there. It's got a persistent world. It's got that Animal Crossing thing where you come back and holy fuck, your entire camp is like starving and has gone insane. Like, that shit's kind of fun. Whereas Dying Light is every other open world game ever. It's got like a version of Mirror's Edge's parkour, but not as good. Like not anywhere near as good.
I have one question.
With Dead Island's melee system, sort of.
Does it use the Ubisoft open world formula?
So you don't necessarily climb towers, but you're basically parkouring around an entire city doing fetch quests. So that's as Ubisoft as you get.
It is. At least you don't have to synchronize from the top of the tower.
Yeah, at least you don't unlock parts of them, or do you unlock parts of the map by synchronizing somewhere?
When I look at like what was at one point a highlight of that franchise, that first time you climbed a really tall tower and you get that sweeping view of freaking all those places, like that added to the experience. So, you know, and
Is Dying Light the same as Dead Island 2? Did they change the name?
no, because there were certain mechanics they couldn't carry over from Dead Island because
I'm asking if Is Dead Island 2 a different game?
Yes, it's a wildly different. It's made by the Spec Ops guys. Yeah, Dying Light is made by the Dead Island 1 guys. It's very complicated.
So why didn't they make Dead Island 2?
So they wanted to do their own thing and have some level of creative freedom, from my understanding, which they got with Dying Light.
But isn't it just the same?
No, because there wasn't any parkour in the game, and because, from my understanding, they weren't allowed to use Dead Island's melee system anymore, because Deep Silver had the trademark on it, because they owned that Dead Island. So, like, Techland had to come up with a whole different combat system for Dying Light. Like, if you...
Isn't the combat system just swinging to hit things? Like Skyrim?
No, it was more like the under the hood stuff they were doing. I don't know the full details, but there were adjustments that had to be made.
That's stupid. I thought Dead Island 2 like turned into
I mean, listen, the reductionist way people talk about Dying Light is that it's Dead Island but good, but I don't even agree with the good part. Maybe it's Dead Island but okay. Yeah, so who cut Dying Light? Wazdy?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. So Ben Minkoff. Wow. You're in a hurry. Let's go.
Okay.
NFL check-in. The Carolina Panthers are whipping that ass. Anyway,
they are.
Seattle getting wrecked.
Does Tomb Raider go on this list because it's supposed to be on this list, or because someone actually cares about it?
Phil cares about it, and I played
Tomb Raider Go is a really cool game.
So, I was initially thinking that Infinifactory is the puzzle game that we're gonna do the annual puzzle game thing for, but Tomb Raider Go is actually a really fucking fun puzzle.
Pretty legit.
Yeah. You can do those puzzles in 2 to 3 minutes, but they all feel clever. And then, like, when it throws, like, a legitimately hard one, not, like, super daunting or anything, but, like, you do have, like, you do take some time to, like, really think it through.
I'd say it's probably the best Tomb Raider game this year.
Alright, I mean, we can leave it aside for now, I guess.
You want to hear that conversation later, then fine. We'll go with another cut.
Mortal Kombat X.
That is the harbinger of death when a mobile game makes our top 10.
Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have no issues there, and I really like that game.
Didn't play it.
My thing is, Mortal Kombat was always and then the story modes are usually fun. And I liked the Combat Kids more than other people did. Cassie Cage is pretty awesome.
The Combat Kids? Is that what you just called
them? The Combat Kids.
That's the name for it.
That makes me want to keep it on the list.
Combat Kids.
But I do think that... So, violence is part of the thing with Mortal Kombat, but they went a little... Not overboard in the sense that, oh my god, it's so bloody and gory. It's more so, there's way too many things in that game that just slow the action down so it can go, look at how violent our shit is. And it's like,
it's
okay,
just immersive.
Yeah.
That's the way of actually playing the game.
Yeah.
Also, fatality coins.
Yeah. Fatality coins is really shitty. The way they handled Goro being day one DLC was bullshit.
I think the
PC port being a disaster was bullshit. Way to go, Warner Brothers, this year, by the way.
The thing that always got me, as much as I enjoy that game, is I think it is a little too overkill. But the other thing is that when you get into like the specializations for the characters, because you can pick like a variant basically of every single person, and they have 3, and it changes their movesets. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times, those weren't fleshed out in the way they needed to be for that system to work, and the way that Mortal Kombat 9 felt good was that your characters had so many given options at any given point in the match. And this new system kind of takes that stuff away from certain characters. Like, I'll use an easy example. Like, Scorpion had his sword stuff, which was cool, and it really added a lot of options for him. That's a variant now. And if you don't take his swords, you don't get any sword moves.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Okay, alright.
And it's not well done, and that's the problem that plagues about half the
guy with the guns, characters. You can't use his guns unless you get his gun
yeah, and it's just removes, like, a lot of character from the characters, and it's a good game in spite of all of that, but it's very frustrating, especially when you consider
material.
No, how good Mortal Kombat 9 was a couple years ago.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat 9 was a good brand of stupid. Mortal Kombat 10 was like just
stupid.
I mean, I can't say they weren't in on the joke with Mortal Kombat 9, but they were too in on the joke with Mortal Kombat 10.
Okay, what's next?
Brian is next.
All right. Yeah. Is anyone going to go to bat for Destiny?
Me.
I will.
I think a few people will, yeah.
Well, why don't we save
Is Destiny a new game?
Yes. We will talk about this later.
Why? Whoa. It's an add-on. It is an add-on.
It's
like, that
true.
is not incorrect. That is absolutely an add-on.
I'm still not sure why it's on.
I mean, like, let's go over this. Just the Taken King part is an add-on, and if we're talking about the $60 version, okay, that comes with Destiny 1, and I will absolutely rip that a new one. And
yeah, but it's not even the Destiny 1 you remember.
Okay, but here's the thing. Everything they fix is the loot stuff. The things I don't like about that game, you cannot change.
You don't like MMOs, though. I mean, that's the problem with it. You want the game to be something it's never going to be.
Time out. One,
we've had this discussion.
One, that is not an argument, and two.
Yes, it is an argument. It is a fucking argument. You just don't want to argue that because you're wrong in this sense.
Well,
it's not a Call of Duty game. You can't put stuff in this kind of game like that. You can't just do scripted sequences.
Can't have, first of all, they have scripted sequences. That's bullshit.
No, they don't. Not to the level you're thinking. Well, they're not. They're crafted scenarios.
None of my favorite games are like overly scripted, so that doesn't apply. My favorite game this year happens to be a game where you basically are not dealing with...
Okay, whatever, just cut it then, because we're never gonna fucking... Because, it's an add-on.
Don't get all hot and bothered about it. Like, wow. Like, you're just getting defensive way off course. Like, we're just asking, like, don't say, like, the thing...
No, you're asking.
It's an add-on. Like, you're just being belligerent. Calm the fuck down.
I could choose a different game.
You literally got to one game and you're already angry? Like, get the fuck out.
We can leave it on the list for right now.
We come back to this.
Proper discussion.
Brian, why don't you cut something else?
Yeah, calm the fuck down during this time, Wazzy.
All right. Duck Game.
That game has a quack button.
It does have a quack button. But is that game always quack?
Game of the year.
Specifically,
all I'm saying is, The Witcher doesn't have a Witcher button. Witcher Senses is not a quack button.
Witcher button.
Is the name of the game actually Duck Game?
There's no rocket button. Oh, there is a rocket.
The name is actually Duck Game.
Yeah.
The name is actually Duck Game.
So Duck Game is like actually this multiplayer game.
Multiplayer, it's very cute. It's
Samurai Gun and what's the other one called? Towerfall?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. There's a challenge mode in that game. The unfortunate thing for Duck Game is, and I think this matters, the community is dead. Like, not Titanfall, it's dead. I mean, like, actually, honest to God, you're not going to get any matches.
Now, did Duck...
go
ahead.
That's a problem.
That makes, like, the important thing about the game that's fun is the thing you can't play.
Mm-hmm.
So, unfortunately, that's why.
So there's no one playing this multiplayer-only game?
Yeah. Well, there is a single-player mode, but it's like a challenge mode, which is it's fun, but like the thing that makes Duck Games, that only makes Duck Game okay, entertaining, novel. The multiplayer makes Duck Game a lot more special than you would think it is at face value. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, didn't that game also come...
But not best game.
No. When people could play Duck Game, that was a cool fucking multiplayer.
I was going to say, didn't that game already come out on like the Oculus and then eventually came to Steam?
I mean, that's irrelevant. The point is it came out in 2015.
Oh, okay. I thought like Duck Game came out like on 2014 or something on the Oculus.
It's not Towerfall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're talking about Towerfall.
Oh, all right.
From
Ouya. Oh, yeah.
The Ouya.
Oh, sorry, Ouya. I'm getting all my own names mixed up. I'm sorry.
All right. Chris.
So the only game I don't know here, just by face value, is Downwell. So I'm just gonna.
I really like Downwell.
You like Downwell? What is it? I actually don't even.
Downwell
you were on the podcast when he was talking about it.
Well, I wasn't listening.
Chris doesn't pay attention.
Downwell is a PC and mobile game where you basically are falling in a well and you have gun boots. And there's one button. You use it to jump.
I'm watching a trailer for this game right now. It looks hype as shit.
Use the one button to jump, and then when you're in the air, use the button to shoot things. And that controls your momentum, and it kills enemies. But you can only reload the gun by either touching the ground or bouncing off an enemy.
Right, yeah.
And you just have to have combos as you go down. It's a super fast-paced game. It's really rewarding and exciting. Like, uncovering the depth behind it is fun. There's all these like tiny decisions you're like constantly making. I think it's a really well-designed game. I'd hate to see it go this early.
Okay, then I'll switch it to StarCraft 2.
No.
Legacy of Delays.
I second that cut.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
I second that cut too. Or 30.
All I really know about StarCraft 2 is I saw like the ending, and it looks dumb as shit.
I mean,
it is dumb as shit.
If we're gonna have a more heated conversation there, Chris, let's see if you can get a third cut in.
Okay. Civil.
I'm okay with that being cut.
Yeah.
What is
But-
Sybil?
Yeah. I don't.
Never
All
even
right,
heard
so
of it.
so
I know
for
this
one,
one,
it's not Sibel, it's Sibel.
Sibel?
Sorry.
Sibel is a game by Nina Freeman, who works at Fulbright, the Gone Home people. Tacoma. They're making Tacoma. Is that the one they're
Yes,
making?
Yes.
Tacoma.
Yes.
She's a level designer there. She made this game on her own time. It stars her and her fiance, and essentially it's a game about internet relationships and how they develop, through games or whatever. So the gameplay of this game is you're playing this fake MMO, and through that there's voiceover of her talking to this guy she met online, and they kind of have like a really awkward relationship, but it's like a really, really good representation of that sort of relationship where you have someone who's like across the country, and and you kind of develop feelings. And it's a 3-act game. It's really short. And then at the end, they do meet up and all that. It's a really cool game. It's a really personal game. Like, it's very voyeuristic because it does kind of star her. And
I heard it's quasi autobiographical, which makes it pretty.
Well, yeah, it's based on a true story. Yeah. It's really cool. It's one of my top 10 games of the year, but I don't think it holds on this list. I don't think it's going to get much traction.
Okay.
Especially since it's only like an hour and a half long. So.
No, it sounded interesting. I'm just not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys should check it out.
I mean, I haven't played it. I'd like to check it out at some point. It reminded me a little of Digital, A Love Story, if you know that game.
Yeah.
Which is pretty straightforward. There's not too much interaction, but it does a good job of using them.
FMV in this game, like between the acts, where you get to see how she lives her life and stuff like that, which makes it a little bit different. But it's a really cool game.
But I mean, it's
only
like
like
that kind of thing.
Too.
Even without too much like active participation, just like being involved and progressing things forward, kind of.
Yeah.
And having it work through this.
It's like a fake
traditional
desktop, fake IM,
fake desktop interface. Like that's nice stuff.
Check out her folders, see what kind of pictures she got. Something like that.
I'm glad it exists. I'd like to try it.
Yeah, I think you would like it, Ben.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Cool. So next is GOTY.
That would be me. I'm going with Batmobile Arkham Knight, and it's as simple as this. This should have been an exclamation point to how good Rocksteady is a developer, and all it was a choke job. There's a lot of good qualities to Arkham Knight. The battle system's a little bit better. There's a lot of, I would say, questionable decisions with the stealth, though. I didn't think any one of the outdoor environments were as good as some of the tighter inside stealth sequences in Asylum and City.
I don't think the scenarios were as good.
Yeah, scenarios just weren't as good. Sometimes, I think this game became more open world than Arkham City. Arkham City, I stand by, is more Zelda than it is GTA, whereas Arkham City is very much like how we think modern open world games are made. And that was to a detriment. Like, there is a clean out the tower sequence in Arkham Knight, right? There's more to Arkham Knight in terms of like content, but it felt like less meaningful shit, right? Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of how Azrael and Hush worked out, but they felt like at least different from what you were doing during the rest of the game. You were doing like these weird disarm the bomb sequences, or for whatever reason, Two-Face.
Let's chase Firefly, and then, oh no, he got away!
Yeah, there were these weird Two-Faces robbing a bank after they all had the city evacuated, which, like...
Who gives a shit he's robbing the bank?
Yeah.
Who cares?
And then... Fine, like, I get it. It would be a disaster, performance-wise, if Arkham Knight did all the things it wanted you to have a free-form Batman experience with all those people on the street. But here's the problem. You now need to stick to that story all the way through, and then it does make the Two-Face stuff just jarring. And the Jason Todd story, which, whatever, now was full spoiler warning for this podcast. The Jason Todd story is like one of the classic Batman stories. It's like one of the best Batman stories, and they fucked it up because it doesn't make any sense in the context that Rocksteady
They fucked it up for like marketing reasons. It's really weird.
It's not even just the marketing stuff. So Jason Todd works because the Joker kills Jason Todd and Batman doesn't kill the Joker, right? So when Jason Todd basically throws it back in Batman's face that his morality is pure bullshit, considering all he's allowed the Joker to do.
It's stupid because Joker's already dead.
Yes!
You let him die.
So then Jason Todd has nothing to stand on. It's like, wait, he's
like,
dead.
No, I killed this dude. What?
Yeah, the Batman in the Rocksteady games, he has a leg to stand on, if anything.
Shit.
You know what I mean? Because in the comic, when that sequence happens, you go, yeah, Batman, what the fuck?
Don't forget, guys, it's totally not Jason Todd.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, totally it was never going to be under the Red Hood, Gagan. You just had to accept that going in.
That's fine, but then you don't make a new character.
Don't tell me it's a brand new character.
Yeah, it's brand new. No, it's Jason Todd. I can tell this from the marketing.
If they had put the Jason Todd thing in there and then, faked you out on that shit, I would have been way happy.
They wasted Mark Hamill because he had a really good performance. The Joker stuff in that game is top notch.
It's the highlight.
There's so many good sequences there. They do cool visual tricks, like in-game action, you're watching the Joker, you turn around for a second and turn back to see him, and he's not there, and it's fucking rad. And
the environments will shift, some statues will have Joker face.
When it plays like a Rocksteady Batman game, you're like, fuck yes. Like, this is why Asylum was good. This is why people really liked Arkham City. But then that fucking Batmobile refuses to go away.
Every fucking mission
involved.
It
was for everything, Chris. I could understand if they, eventually took a nap, but it never took a nap.
They just shoehorn it into, the most mundane shit.
Cobra tanks. Cobra tanks.
We need this sonar thing, but we can only attach it to the Batmobile. You better get over to Wayne Tower so we can attach it to the Batmobile. Oh no, there's tanks in the Wayne Tower. You gotta do the tanks with the Batmobile. Fuck.
Yeah. Listen, I know we made this joke all year that neither of us think Arkham Knight is as bad as what Phil thought it was, but even Phil has turned around to thinking, all right, yeah, that game does have some good qualities. But
you know what? I tried. I played the busted ass PC version of that game a ton.
Yeah,
I gave that game a chance.
I got 100% on that game.
Well, I played it before they patched it.
Yeah.
I played it after.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
Is anyone gonna defend it?
Yeah, that's my thing, Chris. Are you really gonna press for this? Because I'm serious. I don't.
No, it has a very Xenoblade Chronicles X vibe to me. In that when it's working, I love it, and then they either throw the Batmobile in my face, or my favorite thing about City was the side content, and a lot of the side content in Arkham Knight was clear out this patrol stop or clear out this tower, and it felt very Ubisoft in those situations. Really liked the Joker stuff. Really liked the Riddler stuff was still good.
The Riddler puzzles. Let's be clear.
The Riddler puzzle stuff was really still. I really liked that. But NFL
it felt.
check-in.
Carolina is really whipping that ass. Continue.
It felt in a way.
In football.
It felt in a way that City never did. Segmented, in that the side content was very side content. Even the plot would lose track of itself for a while. Like Harley Quinn has a self-contained 20 minutes. For some reason, and then they get rid of her. But so yeah, it just felt very disjointed to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really weird game. I think like visually it looks great. I love the Schumacher sort of Gotham vibe that it has. But then when I look at it compared to the other games, it just feels really out of place because the other games did not have that style, and they had their own style. It just, I don't know. It's just there's stuff about it that just doesn't feel right. You know, I love that it does the I don't know if you saw any of this, but the weird hallucinatory stuff where you'll be flying through the city and you see a statue that has Joker's face on it, and then when you look at it again, it doesn't. I love that stuff. That's really awesome. But the surrounding. Everything about it that surrounds it just feels weird.
They did Man-Bat really well. Man-Bat, that
yeah, but who cares if Man-Bat's on the loose? There's those people.
No. Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. They did Man-Bat really well, and you're going, this is one of the least interesting characters in Batman's mythos, right? Yeah. They gave it way more respect than he deserves, and did it right. And the whole time you're just wondering, I'm like, okay, so we know you're still Rocksteady. Why? Why was the Batmobile your thing? I've joked that, they literally must have been, brainstorming because they had already made the most Batman-ass Batman games ever and just figured, oh my god, what the fuck else do we have left? And all they could come up with was the Batmobile? But is that really what happened? Because there's too many moments in this game where you're going, no, that's exactly the studio.
It almost seems like, man, we spent a lot of time getting this Batmobile right. We better put it in this spot.
Like, to the Batmobile's credit, like, if Rocksteady made a game like Twisted Metal, I would be excited for it, because I'm like, no, Batmobile controls really.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's just Bat Tank. Like, you just get a hover tank. Like, they could have made it so that there's a button that just swings you around turns, like, really easily, but they didn't.
Yeah,
you know? They made it Bat Tank.
I'm just saying, like, controlling that thing is actually really nice. I don't like any of the sequences he used.
I'm Batman. I don't kill people. Better fire this rocket.
Yeah, and you're like
guns on my enormous battle tank.
You're driving 90
It's only
miles
for
an
a
hour.
robot
I
tank.
love how Batman doesn't kill people with explosions. He has
These
special brand
These are
of
drone
explosions.
tanks. They don't have drivers.
Yeah. So which just makes Jason Todd an even bigger idiot, because it's like, okay, you know Batman's antiquated sense of morality, and instead of calling him out on his bullshit, you don't put basically hostages on those tanks, so it stops him from killing them.
Put one person in one of those
thugs
tanks.
to the side, you know?
Put one person in one of those tanks, and Batman would have been screwed the entire
even
time.
Duct tape babies all around the outside of it. He's not going to fire it.
Just duct tape babies.
Listen, if there's one thing that came away from Arkham Knight, it's that for all of the good things Rocksteady's done with Batman, they have never told a good Batman story.
They just use the characters of Batman's mythos very well.
They have like really good individuals. Like the Scarecrow sequence to me is still like I played it again this year and I was like,
yeah,
God,
I mean
they
kind of try to like rehash a lot of the old stories.
Yeah, like they don't even adapt it all that.
Like I think Origins had like a pretty good story, but that wasn't
Rocksteady. You know, that was like a Warner Brothers built studio, probably with people that have some ties to. Like, DC
I mean, even Origins is like year 2. Yeah. Anyway, so.
But I mean,
Paul
the
Dini,
thing
Paul
is,
Dini
like,
was a part of
the animated
Origins.
series.
No, and Origins.
Well, he wrote Arkham Asylum too.
Yeah, he did.
That was not one of Paul Dini's best works.
No, and the worst thing is they had that storyline gift wrapped to them via the Grant Morrison graphic novel, and they still fucked it up.
Yeah,
I mean, Asylum to me is the closest they've come to a good plot. It's just got a really stupid ending when Batman decides the Titan virus doesn't work on me because I'm Batman, which is either like awesome for the audacity of it or really fucking stupid.
It's awesome.
I think it's awesome, but then they have to like stick to that shit where none of this stuff works on me.
Yeah.
Because I am the Batman. And then
armor prevents
and we didn't even bring up the fact that like to even get the real ending in the game, you have to 100% it.
Like
which I did.
Ugh. Yeah, and I don't like doing that Riddler car challenge stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I liked it the first time I did. Oh, this is cool, but then I realized, oh god, this is gonna be everything. They're gonna make this every single Riddler challenge, aren't they?
Yeah. Whereas, like, at least in Arkham City, when you get those hostage sequences, those were badass puzzles.
Yeah.
Like, those were surprisingly good.
Also, not a super fan of challenge rooms being replaced by AR challenge.
And again, I know we've spent way too much time on a game we're cutting very easily, and have been basically ripping.
I think it goes to justify it though, because it is a pretty big game.
Yeah. The other thing is, you have Deathstroke, the ultimate badass in DC mythos. Like, it's either him or Batman. And the boss fight you went with was a car chase!
Yeah, that did happen.
You know,
like, it's such a waste of Deathstroke, especially
that just reminds me, there's a hook in Origins to make Deathstroke the Arkham Knight, and they don't do it.
Yeah, I thought that's what they were gonna go with. Like, he was gonna be.
I thought too, and I would have been okay with that.
Yeah, it was like, all right, they turned him into a Cadmus Lackey. I can understand that. That's you could mind control him. I bet, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you know, from my understanding, even in the comics, it's written like the one guy that can really go like on a martial arts level with Batman is Deathstroke.
Right.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, without being like a superpowered douche. Well, he is superpowered, but whatever.
Anyway.
Yeah, Arkham Knight, you're off the board.
Off the board. What's
off the board?
So
whose cut was that?
Well, that took a while.
Oh,
that was Gaga.
Phil.
We had to get it all out.
We had to get it all out because Arkham Knight should have been better than it was.
I want to cut Nuclear Throne.
I don't even know that game.
I've been playing a bunch of it lately. It was in early access for a long time. It's a top-down 2D rogue-like-ish game. You find weapons, you shoot dudes.
Yeah,
like kind of shooter.
I didn't like it.
I find it a fun way to spend like 15 minutes every now and then, but I'm not like super.
I usually don't get like picky about the 30 FPS versus 60 FPS, but the reason that developer gave why it couldn't be 60 is bullshit.
It bothered you.
Like, I don't give a fuck about that.
Why couldn't a 2D game be 60?
Because he just didn't want to make it 60.
Why didn't he want to make it 60?
He's lazy.
He said it would have broken some things and he didn't want to work on them.
Okay. Yeah, he's lazy.
So
I mean, that game, even now, like, it does crash sometimes.
It just seems weird because that game is a fast-paced game.
Yeah, you would want.
No, it's not.
I mean, it would be nice. Vlambeer is like two people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but
they're really transparent. Like, I mean,
it's the guy who made Loof Browsers,
Yeah.
Wait, that game was 60 FPS, no problem.
Yeah.
Weird.
Nuclear Throne's got a lot of weird things going on. But I mean, it doesn't mean it's certainly not impossible to do. But
yeah, I just thought his reasoning was like bullshit, and I think that game would have benefited a lot from it.
No, it would have been fine if that was a 2017 game and he took the extra time and made it 60 frames. I agree. The only game to me that's ever justified being 30 frames, like, that's a 2D game that isn't like a AAA production, and that's naturally how that's going to happen. Was a game called like that game makes sense that it's 30
South Park Stick of Truth as well.
Well, yeah, no, what I'm saying, like, that one was just, they weren't gonna. Console games is one thing. They're gonna push fidelity because that's what they're gonna push. That sells.
Right. Well, like I said, I'm usually not very picky about it, but when I play the game, it was something that, like, I noticed, like, right away.
I mean, it doesn't help that it's a PC exclusive, from my understanding.
No, it's on PS4.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't help that other 2D games are 60 frames these days.
That'd be nice.
Something you do notice, and his last game was 60 frames. And
I mean, regardless, I probably would have.
Yeah, regardless. Ben, get to the point. Get to the things you wanted to say while we got.
I mean, I kind of said what I wanted to say. I mean, it's a pretty varied game. You know, the action gets really intense. You find lots of weird weapons. There's tons and tons of secrets packed into it, and a lot of different playable characters that have, feel a little different. I like it. I mean, it's a fun way to spend a little time, but it's not as good as other games in this list. Other games I like. So I don't mind seeing it go.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. So Nuclear Throne, you are off the board. Should have been 60 frames. Anyway, William. Finish the second round of cuts.
Can I ask a question?
Shoot.
How strongly do we feel about Invisible Ink?
I don't even know that was a game.
So that's a fucking rad game.
Invisible is pretty rad. I don't feel incredibly strongly about it.
I feel incredibly strong about it going a little bit further.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
I'd like to see it go a little further, though. Yeah,
that's fine. I was just curious. How do we feel about Until Dawn? Can we cut Until Dawn?
No.
So, I knew Phil was going to go to back to that.
So that's going to be contentious.
Can we cut Tales from the Borderlands?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think enough of us played enough of it.
That Tales from the Borderlands is one of the most Telltale games that they've ever made. In the sense that it runs okay. Like, it has okay, like cinematography and cuts that, like, are smooth. That game's got style. That game, I don't like Borderlands.
Does it randomly lose all your save data?
No, it hasn't yet.
Knock on wood.
Also, it was $3, so
he doesn't want to say that now.
Yeah, I don't want to say I haven't finished it yet, so that's it.
All right, so
good use of like licensed music, like good, but we can cut it. That's fine. Yeah. That's okay.
I mean, if there's like another positive for that game, it's like it highlights that. Goes back to what Will said. There's no such thing as bad ideas necessarily. It's more like bad writing. Like, it speaks volumes of Telltale as writers that they made Borderlands interesting when all the Borderlands games make us do is go, yeah, I don't give a shit.
I'm
just here to shoot shit.
I didn't believe people when they said, no, man, like, even if you don't like Borderlands. I'm like, well, I really don't like Borderlands. And then I played it and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, it's like the gameplay is different enough because
not only do I now like this modern Telltale game when all the other ones are dumpster fires lately, this game is a Borderlands game
they've been dumpster fires as much as Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah. Holy shit, dude!
That one was boring, and because I still think A Wolf Among Us was cool. I think the problem with Wolf Walking Dead season 2 is that they needed to be smart and not make a sequel to Clementine. Like, it should have been different characters.
Yeah. Because
Wolf Among Us was awesome.
Because 500 Days was cool.
Yeah, 500 days.
Yeah, 500 days
400
was really
days.
cool. 400 days.
400 days, whatever.
Wolf
400
Among Us
days.
was awesome. Plus, it was like a concept.
Wolf Among Us kind of shat the bed at the end, though.
No way, man.
We're not having that discussion because that was last year's game. But
Yeah. Anyway.
So goodbye,
before?
Tales from Borderlands.
Tales from Borderlands. Yep. Well, you got that cut. All right. Yeah,
Who's next?
Wazzy, the dragging is going to go a little bit further because now I'm looking at this group and I'm saying
Getting tough.
only a few more
pretty
easy
easy.
cuts left. There's only a few more easy cuts left.
Yeah.
I see.
Just a handful.
Well, I think it's my turn.
Yeah.
It is your turn.
And I'd say Rock Band 4.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
I agree.
I mean, I want to get it. I love Rock Band and stuff.
Let me defend
but
before it gets cut.
It's from my perspective, from a guy who's going to buy it, it just looks like more of the same. And if you don't like the Rock Band formula, well, you don't.
It's a vessel for DLC, essentially.
Well,
always
that's
the Rock Band.
fine though, because it's like the one series out there that makes sense. Because getting licensed,
$60.
yeah, 60. That's actually 250 if you don't have anything.
Yeah, that's true.
But it makes sense that it's a vessel for DLC because getting the licenses for songs is just a complete bitch.
Yeah,
they did their
And they have
best.
to go
I don't
code
really
them all
care about
individually, and
Yeah.
yeah.
They did
And-
their best to get as many of the DLC that was already there. So if you already owned it, I mean, they had
That's
a lot
all.
of good things going
If you
there.
buy it on the platform that you had that DLC on,
There's
a
only
lot
so
of
much
people
they can do,
switch.
though. I
Yeah,
know.
I
I
mean,
mean,
That's fine, but that's not like as a consumer, that's not my fault.
Yeah. I mean, there's a degree of truth there, Wazzy. It's like, it would have been nice if this was the Rock Band subscription, like, for the rest of your life. Doesn't matter what platform you get it on. Like,
Yeah.
one day they'll make a Rock Band PC. I don't know how the fuck that works, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, let's humor me here. Like, they make a subscription thing. Now, boom, it's not that my Xbox Live account owns these songs. It's that I, in this case, Christopher Compton, own these songs. And if I want to play Rock Band 8 on the PlayStation 6, boom, I'm good, regardless of the fact that I bought all
Well,
these songs on 360.
Because
I mean,
also I
that'd
feel
be
like
nice.
Guitar Hero figured it out.
Yeah. Like, that's the
Guitar Hero
solution
Live
for-
figured it out this year.
Yeah.
Oh, just
So,
by like
like-
having the channels?
Just
Yeah.
by like having the channels and like you have a subscription fee. They don't have any individual DLC. You pay the subscription fee. You get all the channels, all the songs.
Yeah.
Here's why I hate that.
Okay, go.
Because I play Rock Band as a party game, and we want to play the songs we want to play at any given time.
Right.
Hate the subscription and channel thing because those songs are only available at certain points, and if you guys fail out of that
agreed.
song,
There's a flaw to it. I agree. But
because,
at the same
and
time,
that's why I put
Yeah.
like if you're solo, sure, Rock Band. I do think this time I will concede, Guitar Hero was the way to go. Rock Band 4, even with its kind of stripped back features, which they are implementing as the days are going on, like all of Rock Band 1 songs just came back, which was awesome. They're fixing leaderboards and all that stuff. But to this day, Rock Band 4 is still the go-to party game. I don't
Okay.
think there is a game.
All right, so I have
that-
another question then.
Yes.
Outside of the new set list, which from what I
Was
saw
bad.
isn't great,
Yeah. Yeah,
what
fair
does
enough.
Rock Band 4 add to your party Rock Band experience that Rock Band 3 doesn't, besides
Let me tell
being
you.
on a new console?
Play a show mode is amazing. Love play a show mode. So in the past games, you had to either make a set list or just pick individual songs, right? And the problem with this is when I have 1,000 songs, we end up going to the same 10 songs over and over again on Rock Band 3. I have 1,000 songs on Rock Band 4. We pick the first song. And then because of play a show mode, it says, okay, now everybody vote on the next song. And it doesn't say specific songs. It'll say, play a song from the 70s. If more people pick that, that's the next song that will come up. Play a short song. Play a song with a woman as a vocalist. Play a rock song. Play an alternative song. So now it's forcing us to get out of our comfort zone, and we don't know what the next song is going to be.
Have
And
you
I'm really...
sung while playing Rock Band ever?
Have I sung?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I've sung. I've been drunk enough.
I do kind of. I bet it would.
And especially with, they have vocal harmonies, drums, bass. Like, I have 7 people playing Rock Band these days, and it's still so much fun. And that play a show mode makes all the difference. I love play a show mode.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
that's
Yeah,
cool.
and
That's
like,
a really cool
I
addition,
wish-
actually.
But it also seems like a really, really specific situation you have to be in.
I mean, yeah,
in order-
that's where
Well-
I think we all get into with Rock Band 4. I think, like, to get the easiest enjoyment out of it is, like, if you've been invested in the series, like Chris has been, if you're gonna continue on the same platform, which this generation did sort of matter, because for in my case, I don't console game the way I used to. Or
Or-
whatever, I would probably get on the Xbox One if I to get it. It's a non-issue to me, but at the same time, other people... Well, to me, there's larger things. There were the things that game was missing that the previous games had, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm 90% sure, Chris, you're still waiting on a lot of that stuff to come in?
Yeah, we don't have Rock Band 2, Lego Rock Band, or AC/DC Rock Band yet. This is what we're waiting on. But we have Rock Band 3.
Was there a Lego Rock Band?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
It had some of the best on Final Countdown, Ghostbusters. Still waiting on those.
Oh my god, that's crazy. And then the other thing I was just gonna say is just that, again, I think Wazzy does have a I don't like making this point against Rock Band because I feel like Rock Band's one of those franchises that weirdly doesn't get the respect it should deserve.
Yeah.
Outside of its initial year.
Right.
But it still is very much like, okay, like they had a chance to sort of like reinvent themselves a bit and just be like, alright, this is why this game is coming back, right? And Rock Band 3, when they went out, regardless of it being when the music games were saturated, they went out
on top.
Like they went out basically kicking and screaming. They said like, we gave you fucking keyboard, right? They had like the song list for days, like a lot of good DLC at that point. The way all your back catalog went in, there were a lot of good stuff. Like the worst thing that happened to Rock Band 1, 2, and 3
was Guitar Hero.
Was Activision.
Yeah.
And Guitar Hero, and how they basically, because Harmonix was a class above them.
Yes.
And Rock Band 4 felt like
it was the plastic guitar arm race.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
No, Rock Band 4 did release clearly, because after Rock Band 3, they got released by EA, so they're an independent studio now, and it's really, and it was really obvious. It's getting better, but it was really obvious when Rock Band 4 came
Well, I have
out.
another question. This is a personal question, though.
Yep.
Why is it that Rock Band 4 for the instrument pack is $250 when the instrument pack for Rock Band 2 was $169?
No idea.
Inflation, bro.
Yeah, it must be inflation, and it's because they had to partner with Mad Cats. So I'm guessing they lose a huge chunk of that money.
I was say Mad Cats probably doesn't. Mad Cats doesn't.
Yeah. I think a lot of this stuff kind of just reflects
not doing well either.
That music games are in a different place than they were when Rock Band,
5 years
when the first
ago.
Rock Band came out, much less when Rock Band 3 came out. And like Harmonix is in a very different place. They're kind of, I mean, they just like let a bunch of people go. So
it's very clear.
But I'm glad they could bring that game to a new platform for people.
Yes, love it. But yeah, I understand why. Because I'm
people who are invested in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that was a super long cut. Let's cut something else.
That was
I think it's
Adam's
Ben's turn.
cut. Yeah, Ben.
Yep.
Judging by.
All right. Okay. Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
I agree.
I haven't even played it.
I think
Sure.
you
Any
can get over
arguments?
the fact that, listen, I like it because it's Dragon Ball Z, and there's something really funny about making your own Saiyan and having him hang out with Goku.
Did anyone else play that game besides me?
I did.
I did. Me and
All right,
the three
so
of us.
Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse is really cool.
Yeah.
Until the point where I was gonna get Super Saiyan 3 and couldn't apply it because I had a female character, so fuck that game.
Oh.
What?
Oh, that's
what?
Oh, wow.
Fuck that.
If you have a black or a female character, you cannot get Super Saiyan 3.
What?
Wait, what?
Because their art team was lazy.
Oh,
Because they didn't want to
wow.
make the hairstyle.
Are you kidding me?
Oh.
No, I'm not kidding.
Wow. Fuck
No
that
wonder it's
game.
called
Yeah,
Dragon
get that
Ball
out of here.
I'm not getting that anymore. Fuck that.
That's why I renamed it Dragon Ball Xenophobe.
Now it
All right.
Oh, fuck that.
We can
No,
cut that
no,
game
no,
on principle.
No, time out.
time out for him to
Time
laugh.
out so he can catch his breath.
No, time out. Was there like a press release? Like, listen, we just didn't want to design the
No,
hairstyle.
they didn't say anything about it.
Shit.
But
What?
man, I just grinded out that game as a female Saiyan. I'm like, oh man, I gotta do like this certain objective to get Super Saiyan 3. I got it, and it was like, you can't apply to your character because it's female.
I was gonna say my larger thing with Xenoverse was gonna be that the gameplay is okay more than it is good, which is fine because I'm only really there because fuck yeah, I kind of miss Dragon Ball Z. Like it was a nostalgia trip more. Than
You're like,
anything.
yeah, I could watch the Saiyan saga again.
But at the same time, I thought like they did at least do something different. Like we're used to Dragon Ball Z being the
It's
Budokai
well
games.
built. It's well built.
Like
Like
I didn't think they would
like.
make an action RPG out of Dragon Ball. It
I'm
was fun.
just glad an anime game made it this far.
Yeah.
That game is a lot of fun.
Well, there was no Naruto games this year.
To be fair, that could have been our first cut, and I also wouldn't have been that defensive of that either. And I guess Phil's reasoning would have been really early.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Right.
What is Sunless Sea?
Good question.
Okay.
I don't know what is that game?
Sunless Sea is another top-down, semi-random game set
Roguelite.
in this universe called Fallen London.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're in this underground London where it's fallen into the earth, and then there's like kind of this sort of Lovecraftian stuff going on, like some kind of monsters and demons and stuff, and magic, and madness and terror. And you're a captain of a ship.
Yeah.
And so you go across the sea in the darkness, and you got a lamp on your ship, and you explore places and carry out jobs for different people. I talked about it on one of the recent podcasts. And I only got a little far into it. It's kind of interesting. There's very good writing in it for like the quest, for all the interactions you have. But it's not, it doesn't need to stay here.
Okay.
It's a cool game. I want to check it out more.
You're not gonna press. All right, because you haven't finished it. Yeah.
I've only played it for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not enough for me
It
to like.
sounded like a really cool game. I like Simon Parkin's description of that game.
That's his game of the year, I think.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's a great concept.
Yeah. He told us about it. Me and Chris obviously made fun of it, but he told us of a decent choice he made during the game and how the game like changed more or less because of the decision making. Reminded me a lot of like what we like about FTL.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
where it's like I made decisions and I made mistakes and I had to compensate for it, and
whereas FTL is a little bit more mechanical because like it's just a general presentation. Like the decisions you make impact the ship.
FTL is more stripped down. Yeah. Sunless Sea is a more flavorful kind of game.
Yeah, the writing,
for better or worse.
The writing sounded really dope.
Mm-hmm.
I've even on GAF, like people like fucking quote that game, like just random quotes from that game, and they're descriptive in a way that makes you feel like the person writing it is intelligent, and you know it's because he actually has that type of range in their vocabulary, and not because they hit up the source. Right?
Because they care. Yeah.
Because they care. Like it was legitimately well done in that regard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good game. I'd like to play it more, but it's not enough to keep.
That game's. But had we played more, who knows?
Who knows?
My turn?
Who knows?
I believe you are after him.
Okay, it's getting a little bit more difficult, but what about Hot Mess Miami 2? Wrong number.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with that gets cut.
It wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah, it wasn't as good as the first one.
It's more focused on guns and bottlenecks, and it's not great.
They made it bigger, and that wasn't smart because there's too many things coming off screen at you now. Right?
Like I think it just kind of focused on the wrong things for me.
Yeah. And I also think where the first game's story, I think the first game's story works, but there was a simplicity to that first story. This one got grander in scope, and it's like, why? Because it's not. I made the Portal to Portal 2 comparison in that I like Portal more because it's concise, right? Ben made the argument the difference is Valve's really good at fleshing out their story. Because Portal 2, Cave Johnson's awesome. So is the story arc they do with Gladys. Not to make this a Portal conversation. But Hotline Miami 2, like the things they fleshed out, you were just going, I never gave a fuck about any of this.
Right.
Like why do I care about the Russian mob syndicate that I killed the fuck out of in the first game?
Like, there was a... Hotline Miami was meta, but it was like, it earned it, and it came at the end, more or less. And it, like, contextualized the violence in a really cool way.
Yeah, like, when the game worked, it was, like, mostly, like, working kind of just on a pretty direct, like, speak to the player level.
Yeah.
Where it's like, why are you engaging in all this violence? And that worked well with the aesthetic, and the action, which was pretty straightforward. You didn't have to strategize too much to get through it, though if you did strategize, you could get much better scores. Hotline Miami 2 was a much more punishing game, a much more difficult game. So you really had to focus, like, use every mechanic very specifically, which just made it not quite as enjoyable, I guess. You couldn't, like, really just enjoy the violence. You had to, like, really plan out your route. And then the story was like going after all these like really particular things and the history of it, and just like doing these weird things, going back and forth through time through all these characters that I didn't care about. And yeah, it was a disappointment. I mean, it still like feels good, like that, just like feeling.
Yeah.
Moment, like in like second to second.
But this goes back to how important level design is. This like the pure gameplay of Hotline Miami 2 isn't as good as the first one.
Yeah.
And they've added cool mechanics. They added like whole new characters, but it wasn't.
There were some cool ideas.
The soundtrack is so good though.
Soundtrack is still fantastic.
Yeah, you can listen to the soundtrack outside the game though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Hotline Miami 2 potentially soundtrack of the year, but not the best game.
Yeah.
There's some good.
Not one of the 10 best games.
All right, Goggin, go.
Dude, all right.
I see like
I
two
see maybe
or three
two
more
easy cuts, and I'm gonna go with one of them because it's one of my picks. Grow Home. I think it's slightly unfair that people describe it as it's the Ubisoft tower climbing game, even though
that's exactly what it is.
But I think it's a lot more interesting than that. I think we've gotten too used to like climbing mechanics in games being automated that we forgot at one point you actually had to press more than one button.
That's true. You had to press jump and then jump again, double jump.
Yeah, well, no, there's more to it. Like actually having to hold on to things and him having all four limbs effectively being the shoulder button and the.
I played Grow Home, but I didn't like it.
My larger issue with the game is when the game
the procedural level design's cool too.
Here's what's annoying. Initially, you're building plants into the sky, right? Mm-hmm. And that's mildly interesting. And then you get up there, and then it's like, all right, now collect these things. It's like, why don't you just make that part of the game to begin with, right? Because to me, it's just like, all right, so now I'm gonna jump all the way the fuck down and work my way the fuck up, because you can't really like fast travel when you're collecting, right?
Mm.
So it's,
not entirely. It's only to a limited degree. You've got those teleporters.
Yeah, and it was really irritating that they went that route. Like, structurally, they could have been a little bit better about it. So,
I mean, it was a small project. Yeah. It was pretty narrow scope. Yeah. But I like that they did what they did. Mm-hmm. Still, yeah,
ultimately, Grown Home, I would say it's really novel idea, and it continues that trend of I really like Ubisoft's downloadable stuff just because they're so different. Mm-hmm. But that's all Grow Home is. It's different. I would never call it good, for instance.
Yeah, that's why it was one of your picks.
It's like half a praise, if you will. So Grow Home's gone. William.
Phil.
No, sorry, Phil.
It's Phil's turn.
Phil, then William.
I might have only one decent, easy cut here. Otherwise, I think everything here might be contentious.
There are two I think might go easily, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Phil?
I think Helldivers really stands out as something that's really weird to be on this list to me.
I mean, Helldivers really stands out because only one of us really played it and really likes it. And I like it enough, and I stand by this. I think it's one of the 5 best games this year, easily.
Wow.
Easily.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
I think
okay, is it because there's
strong.
a button to make you twirl your cape?
First of all, it's not a button. You actually do have to, like,
all right.
roll
Okay.
the
All right.
stick.
All right, so we know why it's on the list now.
No.
Let me push up my glasses. First of all,
I think it is disheartening that to me. I'm not gonna get into that. Well, whatever. All right. So it's a top-down shooter, twin-stick shooter that's effectively a co-op game. And what's awesome about it is like some of the modern taboos of co-op games that, unless you're Left 4 Dead for whatever reason, you can't have. For instance, Friendly Fire. And I think Wazzy, you played Magicka before, right?
Yeah.
So it's it's made by the same people who made Magicka, and in the same context, I feel like the game is deceptive. Like, you initially think it's just mindless running around shooting, but when you start playing that game with actual people, you realize, no, you need to be a little bit more coordinated. You need to actually, like, take into account, like, here's my ammo, and when you reload, you're reloading, and you're giving away that clip, right? Like, those bullets, you're not gonna have, like, every clip counts. It's not necessarily you have 500 bullets, you have 12 clips, right? So you can't do the thing you do in every other shooter where, you shoot 3 times, kill the thing, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna reload now, right?
Okay, well, let's, because we gotta move along a little bit. Do you feel like
it plays really well, it's not gonna stick around, but I think it's a shame that Ben's a scumbag and won't buy it on Steam to play with me when I think it's awesome. Even
I've been
though I
wanting to
was
play
right
it.
even though I was right about Rocket League, but Ben's an asshole. I continue.
I wanted to play it, but I just don't want to spend $20 for it.
Yeah.
I don't.
There will
That's
be a
really
Steam
what
sale
stopped me
soon.
from buying
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
There'll
whatever.
be a sale soon.
Whatever. William, you got last cut, but I think again, there's one.
Some of these are
easy cut.
there's a couple on here that are kind of easy.
A couple, maybe.
Yeah, not many.
Alright.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Can we cut Halo 5?
Whoa.
No.
Straight for the jugular.
Yeah.
Easy there,
No.
Tiger. No.
Bye, Halo.
I think that one's gonna be that. I want to see this play out a little bit more.
I will fight.
Okay.
But Halo 5, my thing is there's a certain other game there that I'm like, all right, no. If that game's actually gonna make the distance, then Halo 5 is better than that game.
So it's a spite thing.
So
Yeah.
it's not a spite at this point. It's a matter of
Will, there's an
The
easy
game
one
needs
on
to be
this
worth it.
list.
There's
It's right at the top.
yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
feel like
actually-
that's low hanging fruit though.
I mean that's
Just
what
but
we-
you have to
that's
get
what
rid of
we-
that.
yeah,
Low
yeah,
hanging
yeah, yeah.
fruit's only making it
Yeah,
past
so
these
let's
rounds.
wait. Let's get this to the point. I think every other game in this group, someone has like investment in. Broforce is going. I joke that Broforce needs to be on this out of principle that the game is fun and dumb, right?
Oh, it is.
All
Absolutely.
right, well you can cut that game, but that's not my cut.
I mean, whatever. Every one of your cuts, we're all
pretty
gonna
cut.
argue. But go, William, go.
Alright.
Can we cut Rainbow Six Siege?
Goggin.
Also, no. I think that's actually a really good multi. I absolutely think that game.
I
is
think
good
that's a
multi-
free-to-play game in disguise.
Time out.
Yeah.
Here's the question: Who here is
That's
going to
fight.
go?
Time out. If it's free to play, everything that's microtransaction in that game is cosmetic. None of it impacts gameplay.
But who all
Even your
here is going to
maps
go
are
to
free.
bat for Siege? Is it just Goggin?
Yeah, but that's fine.
For those of you listening at home, this is when things get nasty.
Yeah, this is.
Are you
this,
sure?
We're
I
in the
mean-
nasty phase. I mean, listen. I'm looking at some of these. Listen,
'Cause
I'm
I
not
know-
saying
I-
Rainbow Six
That
That
needs
is
to
a
make the top 10.
$60 game that has like the content.
I got it
that-
for $30.
That's less content than Destiny did when it came out.
All right, fine. Well, listen. Whoa, we go down that path. We go down that path. I want Taking King off because that game is absolutely not worth $60 or $40.
I would trade you
want
taking
Halo 5 can go. Legacy of the Void can go. We're gonna make this a content thing. Let's go the Mayo. Until Dawn
All
can
I'm
go because
saying-
it barely has gameplay.
Actually, Taken King
Life
has
is
more
Strange
content.
can go.
Destiny.
Let's continue that path. Let's just.
Oh
All
man.
right. I'm
Oh,
just saying.
Goggin.
I'm just saying.
I thought we were gonna
I'm
have like
saying.
reasonable arguments, not just like spite.
Yeah, what?
It's not spite. You're telling me that
You're-
the price model is the thing. Then fine. Let's understand. You go down the price model route. That applies to a lot of games here, not just Rainbow Six, in my opinion.
It applies to any game.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
the
it
thing
actually
is,
does.
like, Rainbow Six Siege it comes out at $60
Well, so here's
and
the
like
point. Why-
like is
why-
notoriously like bare
Listen,
bones.
see, people are saying it's notoriously bare bones, but it's got more maps than the other multiplayer games this year. It's got way more
That's-
depth to its
Yeah,
mechanics.
but multiplayer games this year have had shitty maps. Like
Well, let's
they
be honest,
haven't
they're
had
not
the map
exactly
size.
the biggest maps.
What is it
ever
going up
made
against?
either.
Battlefront? I think everybody agrees that game's not worth $60.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not.
Like,
I mean,
so to
it's-
say, like, oh,
so
what's
my-
better than the other
listen,
ones
see,
this
here's
year?
my
It's like,
other
oh,
beef with it. Here's
it's
my
not
other
it's the
beef with it.
least
Here's
selling
my
shit.
beef with it.
Like, I don't.
Is that I don't understand why we're using $60 thing when we live in an era where you're not gonna pay 60. You can absolutely not pay $60 for a game.
No one is look.
GMG exists. I bought that game for freaking $30. That game has not even been out. Actually, now it's officially been out a month. Now, a month. I got it for half.
I'm not saying
That's
that
my
Rainbow
thing.
Six
I
is a
think
bad
playing
game.
it- I think the playing it part absolutely hangs.
Like it hangs. I'm just. Do you think it's
I
a
think
top
it's the
10
best.
game?
I think it's the best of the multiplayer shooters currently on this board. It's got the best gameplay.
Then can we cut Halo 5?
No.
Well, they pick one because we're not going to have both.
Why? Well, no, that's a fallacy.
Because those two games are better than.
Halo 5 isn't all that great though, and you're saying Rainbow Six is
That's
better.
fine, but-
So why we not going to shove both of them on the top 10?
But that's still a fallacy, though. Like that assumes that game because Splatoon is also in this.
Do you think that Rainbow
From
Six
Splatoon.
Siege is one of the 10 best games this year in this group of people?
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Cut it.
Because we only got 6
Fine, whatever,
spots.
cut it.
I wanted to cut
it,
Halo 4 5 first. I'm just
Fine,
saying.
cut it. That's fine.
I'd cut
I
Halo
at least
5
have backing
before
for
Siege,
Halo 5.
by the way.
Yeah.
So, for the people at home, what is remaining on this list?
All right, whatever.
What is remaining?
The remaining games now are officially everything is contentious. So
Yeah, let's put them all
no
in the same
longer
group.
doing. This is no longer going to be in alphabetical order.
Whatever.
Whatever we
I
get
think we
locked
can live
in.
with it.
Yeah, whatever we get locked in, that I want in some sort of order. Wow, why?
Okay.
What the fuck did I just do?
So,
All right,
games
so,
we have.
So, adding to the contentious list first, we have Life is Strange, which hasn't been talked about yet. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Ori and the Blind Forest, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, Undertale. The remaining games from our initial board: Cities Skylines, well deserved, Crypt of the Necrodancer, Destiny the Taken King, Downwell, Halo 5 Guardians, Her Story, Infinifactory, Invisible Inc., Pillars of Eternity, Soma, fuck you, StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void. And
Damn it, Ben.
Until Dawn and Tomb Raider Go. Someone already cut Broforce?
Yeah,
I think we did, yeah.
You cut Broforce.
I mean,
we didn't even talk about it, but yeah.
Most of us are
basically
going to
agreed it
agree
was
with
gonna
cutting
go.
Bro Force.
yeah, whatever. That's fine. I was wondering.
So who's
Alright, so I
next?
think
Alright.
it's Adam's cut.
Yep.
Well, no,
My
no,
cut.
No. Hold on.
We're not doing
I
that?
was saying, I was like, we're officially at that point where it's contentious now.
Yeah.
So, like, I was gonna say,
Do we need to mix up our
let's
system?
do 7 right now, real quick. Go with. It's not locked. You're just moving this one game forward one more round.
Okay, I hear- yeah, I hear you.
7?
So, Wazdi, look at this list of games. You
Okay,
have
everyone
one
pick
game
one.
you can move forward that we're not going to talk about in this initial round of cuts. We're
In
just
the
going to move it
initial,
forward
round of cuts,
in like this next round of cuts. We're just going to move some of these forward because they're going to be that much more argumentative.
I would say Destiny, the Taken King.
That's who you're going to save. Whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll save that. I'll save that
Wazdi,
before the other ones.
Destiny.
Other ones.
The
All right.
Taken King. Someone backspace that one out of there. Ben?
I'm gonna save Monster Hunter 4.
Good
Okay.
choice.
Brian?
Super Mario Maker.
Surprising nobody.
Surprising?
Oh, no.
Surprising nobody.
No.
Christopher Compton. Understand that Witcher 3 is already locked.
I know. The only game I've played on this list, Halo 5.
Goggin.
I'm thinking. Soma. No, yes. Oh, I already said it. Soma.
You said it. Follow your instincts.
It's
Phil.
the reaction.
Follow your heart.
Until dawn.
Till
I
dawn.
fucking knew it.
I was banking on him saying Life is Strange. Whatever.
I think Life is Strange is probably gonna.
Will.
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Ori.
Nice.
Alright. So,
All right.
Okay, so now we have to start cutting.
you have to get rid of that because that's moving forward. Get rid of that because that's moving forward.
So just because we locked them for this round, it
that
doesn't mean
they're
they're safe.
locked. That doesn't mean
Right,
they're
right.
safe. It just means that those.
We just have to come up
In
with
theory-
7 games to cut first before we get back to those.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now was the.
Unless we get really deadlocked.
What's the next game you have a major question? Because at this point, I feel like we all have questions. Like, all right, how defensive?
Crypt of the Necrodancer. I don't think anyone even talked about that.
We didn't.
The first
I
round.
talked about it. No, you didn't talk
Oh,
about it in the first
I
round.
must have
No,
missed it.
not the
No,
first
no,
round.
no, he meant like this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
talked about
Crypt
this
of the
one.
Necrodancer. Why move that one on?
I'm not crazy attached to that game, but I did like it a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a really clever mix on the kind of roguelike formula. In that, like you have like the same sort of top-down 2D navigation, enemies move when you move, but because of like the locking all your movements to the beat, it becomes this really fast-paced, frantic game where you're just like have to make quick decisions and you can kind of panic and screw up. Which is exciting, and there's so many different characters in the game, so there's like tons and tons of content, and it feels really different. It's a good, cool design. I personally had an issue where I ran into a difficulty wall and broke myself against it,
I remember. Yeah.
which was distressing. But that's not really the fault of the game's design per se
Mhm.
entirely.
Well-
I mean, it's a tough game.
Well, say a difficulty wall is sometimes a fault of the game.
Yeah,
if
it's like I was using the most difficult character in the game, basically.
Okay.
It was very, very difficult.
So, are you?
But I
Cryptos?
that's not. I think that last experience was like so rough for me that it wound up falling a lot in my personal top 10.
I like that it's got a different control scheme, for instance. Like, that adds a lot to playing it, just using a different part of the fucking keyboard for once, for instance.
I mean, it's basically the rogue control scheme. It's just you move left, right. But
I think it's cool you can play that game with the DDR pad.
That is cool.
Damn, that is cool.
There is a pad mode.
I think it's awesome that you can throw custom soundtracks in there. Like, you can throw the Hotline Miami soundtrack into that game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I've heard the Bionic Commando Rearmed soundtrack is good with it, and I can believe that.
Yeah.
When you're on a streak, the tiles do this like disco ball thing where like they're like alternating flashing colors on the floor.
Yeah.
The shopkeeper like sings along to the soundtrack, so when you're like near the shop, you can hear his voice, which is fun.
I think like a lot of other good games that, like the better indie games are usually the word that applies is deceptive. Like at face value, it looks really simple, but then when you get the hang of it, you're like, all right, there's a lot.
That is a deep game. There's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not gonna. There are a bunch of uses this I like more.
Ben.
All right.
Be that guy.
I was gonna say I haven't heard anything about. I've heard very little about Pillars of Eternity, so my impression was that it was a little disappointing.
I haven't even played it.
I played it.
So that was one of the things I thought.
Obsidian made a CRPG like the classic days. Very reminiscent of things like Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale.
I know you like that stuff, but I know you're also kind of been down on Obsidian lately. So
listen. I was gonna say that it's less interesting than what Divinity was last year. Heard it for me because Divinity felt like an evolutionary thing, whereas Pillars of Eternity was like, look, we made one of those again.
Divinity made our list last year, didn't it?
Divinity did make our list, yes.
Yeah.
Pillars, and listen, one of those. Newsflash: Obsidian really good at making RPGs. Really good at making one of those again. There's a tightness to it that you don't really see from other CRPGs that get made nowadays. The writing, I think, is a little too thick. It's flavorful in the wrong way to me. Sometimes they're just saying gibberish, and I just don't grasp it. Right?
Okay.
Like, it's too into trying to paint this idea that this is its own setting. And instead of doing that, it just makes me go, well, what the fuck is anyone even saying? Like, I don't speak bullshit. I don't speak jive, if you will. And as the No Jive podcast, it's gotta go. I think the other thing that hurts that game, I mean, really, it all comes down to the fact that it's not particularly creative. Like,
and I think there are a lot of games that are on this list that are more surprising and more innovative.
Yeah.
And maybe even better executed from what I can tell.
I basically don't care for any of the characters in that game, considering how long you play that game. I don't think it's as daring as even... Like, Wasteland 2 is poorly paced, but I thought Wasteland 2 was a little bit more daring as an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that's very... I mean, it's a fucking Wasteland 2. It says 2 on the box. But, yeah.
All right.
It can go.
All right. Sounds like that's
R.I.P. Pillars.
Brian Margheim.
Oh, God. I'll choose one, and I don't know who's backing what, so I expect someone to say fuck you when I choose it.
We're at that stage.
Who is going to say fuck you? We'll find out.
Brian's cursor is moving up and down the list.
Yeah, let's say.
Russian
it's like Jaws.
It's like the Price is Right wheel.
Round and around it goes where it stops.
Tell me about City Skylines.
Were you doing dip dog shit or something?
What?
Has anyone else here played City Skylines, or is it just me?
I played some of it.
You are? Okay.
Most of that time was honestly watching you play it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's more than enough for me.
Okay, so, the game basically is the revival of the, City Builder in a very approachable format with a lot of modern twists. Much
awesome
more
interface.
Good interface, but the real biggest changes are under the hood. How population actually has to move from point A to point B. Traffic is realized. It's not just randomly generated. just to make it look like your city is being used, you can actually follow how people go to work and whatnot. And then they had an expansion which, added, the patch added in a day-night cycle where you actually have realistic traffic patterns throughout the day. And overall, the game is just really, it's just, you can build the coolest looking, most realistic looking cities ever. They integrated so well with Steam, so there's like 100,000 something mods or something, like just custom made stuff, and you could make like roundabouts and stuff and share them. So you can, if you really suck at it like I do, you just go get prefab stuff made by the community, slap them in, and improve your city. It's a lot of fun, very well thought out, but in the end of the day, there's two kinds of people that play city builders. The first kind are the kind that just want to build the most beautiful cities possible. And City Skylines allows you to do that by having just built it right in infinite money mode. Just go crazy, build whatever you want, whatnot. And then the other kind of players of city builders are the kind that want a legitimate challenge. Difficult terrains, uphill struggles against, you have to
proper experience.
Yeah, you want a more proper experience. I mean, and while the guys, I want to say the beautiful city guys still have to deal with traffic and whatnot, zoning and whatnot in City Skylines is a lot more loose than you would think it would have to be. And making money is not a challenge. So City Skylines has definitely fallen under the build a beautiful city without the challenge. Personally, I like the former. I like building a pretty city because I hate getting my butt kicked. It's great and all.
It's a fucking awesome game.
And it had it's just not a complete enough city builder game because it is a bit too easy. Money becomes kind of irrelevant about halfway through, but not halfway through, but pretty early on. Once you get past the initial struggle, money becomes basically irrelevant. There's no like disasters or anything, which I actually think is a good thing because the disasters got silly in SimCity and didn't add anything to the experience.
Godzilla come out?
I mean, it was cool and novel, but they ended up banking on that a little bit too much, especially in the newest.
Then it got gimmicky, like as I said, when they made Godzilla come out.
I was
gonna say, do you want to play this? I was gonna say, do you want to play this out, or do you really want to cut it now?
No, you could cut it now because it's good and deserves a mention. But against these other games, it doesn't hold up. It's niche still, good, it's cheap, but it's too niche. People get really into it. Then I go on the City Skylines subreddit, see how much better people are at building cities, and I just lost all will of wanting to ever play again because that'd be nearly as good as Skies.
I mean,
it is very,
I
very.
think City Skylines is another one of those games this year. Like when we were at one point this year during the podcast, I'm bringing up Chris. This was at one point a really good year for getting your money's worth because we were just having a string of games: Bloodborne, Witcher 3, Monster Hunter 4, City Skylines being another where you were getting these really meaty, time-consuming single-player games.
I think the best...
And then multiplayer season happened.
I think the best prospect of City Skylines isn't just the fact that the game exists, but how awesome the developer has been with acknowledging the faults of the game and addressing them and interacting with the community. As a base of a future of city building games, the future is very, very bright because of City Skylines, and that's good enough just to mention it in our Game of the Year podcast. As a lone title, if you're not into city builders, this game will not keep you interested. There's not enough challenge there, and there's not a feeling of achievement as you move on, I think.
I think also, like kind of as you were saying, like after SimCity, like the future seems so incredibly bleak for city building games because that game was such a huge disappointment.
This fixed it. Yeah.
And
knocked the pants off that game.
Yeah, everyone was. Yeah, it's really good that game existed, and it did a lot of great things.
So yeah, not. I was expecting it to get cut, but I'm just glad it didn't get cut in the first round because
I think it goes
it's really good, and I mean because it's Paradox, every Steam sale it's gonna be cheap, and I recommend it for anyone who wants a good time sink from time to time.
Yep. All right.
I think it goes without saying that any game that made our list at all, it's a good game.
It's very good.
Yeah,
sure.
These are all good. Yeah, absolutely.
Except for Fallout 4.
Except for Batman Arkham Knight.
Except for Fallout.
And Fallout 4. Come on.
Yeah,
except for all of them.
Yeah.
City Skylines is the 11th game of the year. Yeah, Chris, go.
Infinifactory. Because I see Downwell, Infinifactory, Invisible Ink, and I don't think all of them are going to make it. So
Pick one.
I don't think all of them are going to make it necessarily.
I don't think any of them are going to make it.
Yeah, I guess
I would like it. I would like a world where they all make it.
I would like.
This is not that.
I agree, Ben. I would like a podcast crew that like good things, cool things, but
don't put mediocre shooters up at the top of the list.
Fucking those people.
But yeah. I mean,
so,
Infinite Factory is the second Zachtronics game on this list.
no longer.
It came out first. Yeah. That's the only one. And those games are always really great because usually when you think of puzzle games,
exactly made for the people that say you can never replay puzzle games because now that you know the answer, it's
I just do the same motions again.
Except these games, their games are more problem solving in that it's about how efficient your solutions are. So you can, in theory, go back and like come up with solutions that are quicker, and that part of the game's awesome. And,
you're given this like big set of tools to solve a problem.
They're not even Bush League puzzles. Like the Zachtronics puzzle games are fucking relentless once you get to mid to late game.
And they don't hold your hand.
Yeah, like, fuck hand holding. We're not giving you a freebie hint.
Mm-hmm.
They're awesome. The only thing I guess I would hold against it is that I didn't finish it, and I did finish Space Camp.
So I had a weird situation with Infinite Factory because I started playing that kind of recently, and I didn't see you on my friends list having the game.
I mean, I still don't understand why it's on my fucking Steam hours at 10 hours.
So like I couldn't compare my solutions against yours, which is a little sad.
Yeah. Well,
because
with the way Ori and the Blind Forest went for me, I'm glad that you couldn't do that.
Yeah, where I can. But I mean, yeah, it's a really like Infinite Factory is this first-person 3D game, kind of building on the interface from an early Zachtronics game, Infiniminer, which was very much a basic Minecraft.
Skip that part.
But
that's
forget that. So it's a factory. So you have inputs coming out regularly, and you have some product you're supposed to assemble, and you're given conveyor belts and rotating things and welders and sensors and switches, and you're trying to make this automated factory basically continually pump out this product as efficiently or in terms of time or space or blocks as possible. And yeah, it just gradually increases in complexity, and you have a ton of options, and there's always fun ways to improve, and you can see every time you finish a level, like, this is this kind of graph of how many people wound up at which level, so you can see where you stack. It's like, oh, people got this, I got the solution here, but a bunch of people got a solution this much.
And it goes further than that. Like, so there's one part where you gotta make, like, these crosses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, initially you're gonna make the scenario, like, all right, you made the one, like, you would think, once the first cross is made, boom, you're good, the machine's perfect. No, the game plays out properly, and it would play out like what an actual machine was. Just because the first one went through doesn't necessarily mean the second one's gonna be a cross now. Like, initially it'll start 1, 2, 3, and then by the fourth one you're going, that's no longer a cross, and it's just dogpiling blocks on because there's no rhythm to your machine.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's a lot of good trial and error to that game. Like, a lot of things you really like if you are into puzzle games.
Mm-hmm.
And, I happen to think the Zachtronics, the Quantum Zachtronics, it's like one guy, anyway, like, he's absurdly good at this shit.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in a class of his own for a while.
Yeah, and like most of these, like Space Chem, which was
I mean,
one
I'm
of our
passionate about keeping
one of our favorite games, yeah.
Yeah. Because if it's a matter of, like, games that play well, I mean, legitimately what you want from a puzzle game, there's plenty of games here that I don't think play well.
Okay. So do you want to move it to a contentious?
Let's move it forward and just, let's see.
Let's see what else so you mentioned
what
3
was
games,
your,
Chris.
Yeah, so I guess you want, so then that's my question, Ben. Like, he brought it up. Which of the 3 do you not think definitely does not hang? Like, definitely you're not passionate about defending? I'll go on record, just because I didn't play Downwell. I think Invisible Ink as fucking XCOM but stealth is kind of fucking cool.
Downwell kind of sounds like Ridiculous Fishing to me.
Yeah.
It's not quite like Ridiculous Fishing.
Sounds like the same game to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with Ridiculous Fishing is that, like, that is a progression, make numbers go higher game, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
You go down and you upgrade your shit, and you just like keep doing that until you have like the minigun and the super rocket line and whatever. Downwell is more like in the mold of a Spelunky. You're starting fresh every run.
Oh, fuck that then.
I like games like that. Like half my list is games like that.
It seems that way.
And yeah, like it's a great, fun, fast-paced game, and you have to improve. You have to get better at the game.
Yeah.
Like I like that process of learning. So like that's why it's different from ridiculous fishing. If that's a problem for people.
No, I agree. Listen,
I mean,
absolutely
I don't
think
know.
that style of gameplay.
That's fine. I haven't played Dunwall, so I can't.
That's
really...
what I'm saying. Like, do you think Downwell?
If no one else has played Downwell, Invisible Ink is a rad game. Infinite Factory is a rad game. A bunch of other games on this list are pretty rad.
You're willing to sacrifice Downwell for the team?
Downwell's gotten this far. I feel good about that.
Okay, good.
Downwell's a great game.
All right, cool, Chris. Effectively, your cut is Downwell, right?
Okay. Yep. Sure. Okay.
Yes.
I guess.
Go 10.
Some be that prick. I don't think StarCraft 2 hangs for a variety of reasons.
Does either.
I
Why am I not surprised?
I think the stupidity of the story is at one point entertaining in that James Rayner fucks God Kerrigan at the end. Like, that's pretty cool.
Was that worth waiting 5 years for?
It's okay, so that's not even my beef. My larger
It's
beef
about
is
time.
My larger beef is just this. Like, it's a good campaign. I think Wings of Liberty is better because it's a little bit more varied. And the ultimate thing hurting StarCraft 2 is, and we've already cut a few games for this, is that it's more StarCraft 2. It's more of something we already had that we already knew was great. And then, like, usually usually I've pressed for certain games during these podcasts, Dota 2, Guilty Gear, and I've said that if the depth is there, why aren't we rewarding it? But this, to me, is like giving credit to Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. And not Street Fighter 4. Like, if this was the first StarCraft 2 game releasing, fuck yeah, it's running for Game of the Year probably because of how good the multiplayer is, right? But at this point, that was already known. We got another one of those, and then the campaign is like, okay, they made a good one. I get it, but they made a good one. Like, if they had some novel things that that were new, I could see it. But other than the part where now you're playing as a Protoss, which is novel for maybe 2 missions, and then you're in StarCraft 2 rhythm. Like, it just gets tiring. I think it being an expansion does hurt it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to make a stupid rule that says expansions can't count, because if an expansion's good enough, then fine. And this one is standalone. You don't need Wings of Liberty or Heart of Swarm to necessarily play it. So, like, that helps its cause, too. But at the same time, like, at no point was I enamored with it, and I was enamored with Wings of Liberty. Like, most of the time, once I got done with Legacy of the Void, I, like, restarted Wings of Liberty. I was like, I wonder if this makes Wings of Liberty feel duller in contrast. But I was like, honestly, the ghetto RPG stuff they had going on with, what's that fucking, they're not called the Terrain. They are the Terrain, right? Terran, yeah, right.
The Terrain.
Like, that stuff,
Terrain.
whatever. You guys, God, fucking nerds. Anyway, that stuff adds adds to the single player. I think Jim Raynor, I'm not the biggest StarCraft story person, because I think Kerrigan sucks, but I think Jim Raynor's awesome. Like, he's entertaining. I like his wingman in that story is fun.
Picus.
Whereas, they kill the coolest guy of the Protoss!
Oh, is that Zerathul? Is that Zerathul?
Like, what? That's just wrong. It's like killing Opie from Sons of Anarchy and then having more seasons.
Who would do that?
I don't know.
Good thing I don't do that.
Yeah, it's a good thing it ended.
So,
For the record, it's a very good RTS game. It's just the thing that's effectively hurting it is that we've celebrated StarCraft 2 at this point already.
Let's give Will a chance to defend it.
I'm just saying. Like, understand that's my major argument.
I am okay with StarCraft 2 going. No, I mean, at some point we're just gonna have to
make hard cuts.
We're gonna have to make hard cuts.
We're at that point.
And I agree. I think Wings of Liberty is a better game. I think Legacy of the Void is dumb in a lot of ways in terms of writing, which is really a shame. But the gameplay is really good. It single-handedly fixes all of the multiplayer problems with Heart of the Swarm and makes it really, really good, speeds it up.
Like, there's no deeper game we're going to talk about this year than StarCraft 2. Like, that's
Probably not.
I'll be there and say that.
Probably not.
Just a really
that sense,
good
yeah.
expansion, and like the thing probably that Heart of the Swarm should have been to Wings of Liberty, and an all-around fantastic experience. But we have a very varied list, and I would be okay with that going to see something else. I mean, we've already had StarCraft 2 happen.
Unless a year is shitty, I'm gonna say the same logic applies to when we eventually get Super Street Fighter 5. It's like, no, fuck you. We gave Street Fighter 5 credit. No. Like, we're not giving Capcom's bullshit credit, though.
This is assuming Street Fighter 5 is good in the first place.
I mean, it'd be really hard for them to fuck.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks
really
pretty on point.
Okay, well, let's not get distracted.
Yeah,
Anyway.
let's not get distracted. But yeah, Legacy of the Void, it's a very good game. I just don't think it hangs. But Phil.
So I could make a really, really hard cut here, but there is a game that I kind of want to hear a little bit about, and if I get a lot of pushback, then I have this other one on my mind.
Okay.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
So that one's all on you, William. Like, let me be clear here.
That was also one I had questions about.
Yeah, so let me be clear here. Said this time again when we've done these things, it's not, if you can get the argument for it, then fine. Like, argue for the game you think belongs in that top 10. And more importantly, remember, this is your girlfriend's favorite game last year, so a lot of this is riding. So, you can't just...
And just remember that if this Tomb Raider doesn't get it, there's another Tomb Raider on the list.
There is. I think, personally, just, admittedly, I haven't played all the games on this list.
Well, yeah.
But just based on what I've played, which is a large chunk of them, I think it absolutely deserves to be a top 10 game. And I think it's sad that the limited release of it is probably going to hurt it in a lot of places, but it's an absolutely fantastic game. It is the sequel to Tomb Raider, the reboot that needed to happen. It adds depth, mechanics, restores the tombs to actually being interesting puzzles, does a lot in terms of making you feel like you're exploring and making you feel like the decisions that you have as a player to, I want to upgrade this. Okay, well in the first one when you would get an upgrade, it's like, I have a bow, this bow is now going to get better. And this one it's, I have 5 bows, how do I want to play? What am I going to throw my upgrades into? What am I going to explore? How are those upgrades going to determine how I approach combat? Can I stealth this? You've got so many more options and all the systems in the old one that are built upon in terms of, just like the crafting system in the old one was this very like, you have X number of things, congratulations, you get a new thing. It's not that way anymore. They've made it a little bit more like the Last of Us crafting system and added some depth to it and made it so that you really do want to explore the environments because you're actually getting stuff that's giving you an upgrade as a player and to Laura as a character. And on top of that, the way that they've interwoven the storytelling of the things that you find in the environment to the actual plot is just fantastic. And
you shoot
the other
2
one,
arrows at once. That's
yes,
an
you
upgrade.
can.
Like, that's one of her upgrades. It's so dumb. It's so great.
And the whole, all of the upgrades offer some more things like that, where you can just, you can build it completely to how you want to play it.
It sounds like you're passionate about this game, so I'll go with my other cut.
Yep.
I'm gonna make this cut having actually played this game to completion. Her Story.
Yeah! I thought it was nice that it went this far back.
It is a cool thing. There is not much of a game there.
That part I disagree with. But yeah, okay, go.
I disagree.
Keep talking.
I just think that, Google search the game while it's cool while I was doing it. After I was done, I was like, huh.
Okay, yeah, so
all right.
I will agree that I never want to play another game like it, necessarily. I don't agree that... Okay, well, I guess I hate the word... Let's not get into the semantics of the wording. The thing I like about Her Story is that it's so fucking different from everything else. But I also
Is it
don't
really,
think
though?
What else plays like... What else is literally Her Story? It is so different from anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a standard kind of detective thing, really.
But it's not standard. Like, if it's a detective game, there's usually the go explore this area. Like, this game is basically, like, whatever. You're putting words into a search engine, right? But, like, because you're piecing, like, it was one of the few games where I actually took notes, and it was like you're watching this, like, live performance, right? And just trying to piece a story together, and then piece your own, like, interpretation of it. Ben's wrong. She's
I mean,
crazy.
you're looking for, like,
the red herrings and all that. that stuff.
You're looking for keys and statements, but I feel like some other games have done stuff like that.
Sure, but at the same time,
I can't think of.
And those games gave me the same feeling.
But I can't think of another one that's built entirely around effectively the interview process. Like, it's just the interview.
Yeah, I mean, what makes it work so well, what makes it so unique for me is, you're just presented with, you just have the search box, and nothing is guiding you or pushing you in any way. And because it's search terms, you just have your keyboard, your options aren't really limited by anything. It's just whatever you can think of, whatever you think to put in. So it's totally wide open.
Like, the first few videos, it'll be like, and she'll say the word blue. Like, you'll make notes. I remember writing notes. I was like, okay, now I'm gonna go with blue. I need to know who the hell this Simon guy is. What the fuck happened in Belfast? Was an area? I don't remember. Point is, and there were little things. Like, some of her there's not many FMV games that make the FMV part of it make sense. Like, sometimes it's just there because it was, I guess, cheaper or whatever. But in this case, I understood it 100%. Whether it's on a budget or if you're doing, take LA Noire. That game was expensive as fuck. And
like I said, I think it's cool. Yeah. I just didn't get that much out of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's that part I'm fine with. I guess we're getting way too defensive about the whole.
I don't really want to spoil the twist here, but I mean, I kind of saw what it was pretty early, and then so when I was doing later things, because it's a very non-linear thing, I wasn't sure what else I really needed to know before I had seen all the clips and.
I mean, my beef with it is. As good as a plot twist, as good as her performance is most of the time, there's a few things about the story that aren't necessarily that good.
I mean, I guess my biggest complaint...
on the nose at times?
My biggest complaint about it, and I kind of see where you're coming from, Phil, is that, in the end, it's kind of just this really weird, pulpy crime story, and you're just approaching it from a really unique angle.
Yeah.
And at the end, you go through it, and you explore it, and there are kind of these, sort of sub-themes in it. I'm right.
I
exactly.
agree, Car. I agree.
Beep beep.
That car is going. Fuck this. Her story deserves better. But no,
but at the end, you're just oh, this was a really weird thing, and I came to some view about it. Yeah. There's a lot I like about how it's structured. Obviously, is really different, and unique. I like that the way
I think it's cool.
How it ends. It's not it's not necessarily you're having to solve something in the world of the game. It's you watch a bunch of clips, and at some point, the game is so you feel okay with this being over? Because
that game
it could be over if you want.
Fun co-op game at the same time too.
I played that co-op.
Yeah, I could see that.
I played that with my roommate, and we went through it together, and we were.
It kind of occupies the same space for me that Sibel and the Beginner's Guide does. They're just kind of cool little stories that in the grand scheme of things don't. They don't really add anything to. It's really hard to explain, but I didn't feel like I actually accomplished anything
afterwards. The stories are clever, but there's nothing necessarily there to say. But
her story, I felt like I was accomplishing stuff because I was making inferences
I think the game
solving a puzzle that way.
I think the gameplay stuff about it is super cool. I do stand by that. I think it's one of the more unique things I play. I definitely think it's the most unique game I played.
I'm super glad it exists. It's a really.
I think you could absolutely do something
time,
like it and expand on it again, though.
Well, I don't know about. See, that's where I stand.
I think there's a well there to be kind of mined.
You have to find a different kind of story.
Yeah,
it has to be a different kind of story, but I think that sort of gameplay thing. If they intercut it with something else, something large, it could.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'm saying I don't want a full-on imitator of her story.
It's a good start, and it's great that it kind of came out of nowhere and was as good as it is.
I mean, there are games I think are not as interesting on this list, but
I mean, we'll get to those.
I would agree.
But her story can go. Which means, William, you've got technically the last cut here, because then it's back into another round of this.
Oh, God, have mercy.
My
after
heart.
that, I think we have to stop protecting games.
I mean, let's not say stop protecting games. It's now we need to stop, getting over the fact that, it's going to get contentious. Well, we're about to get contentious. Start defending your game, bitch.
Can we cut Undertale?
No.
That's a pretty unanimous no. Okay.
Hey, Will, I am behind you, but I don't think we're gonna get much headway with this one.
So I would like to see Undertale play out more than anything.
Okay, alright. Can we cut...
So, if I'm being quite honest, given your... And I hate doing this, because Tomb Raider Go is cool. I'm starting to think it's Tomb Raider Go, and then... Well, I mean, if that's... I'm actually going to say, like, let's stop your cut, because I don't think you're getting any cut now.
If
I would let Tomb Raider go.
Tomb Raider a go-go?
Yeah, I think it's really cool made this far.
Yeah.
I'll let
let's not let this go all the way to the apocalypse and have a mobile game in our top 10, guys.
We have to stop.
Second best mobile game of the year.
Alright, but I still want to start a discussion.
Tomb Raider Go is awesome.
Alright, fine. Do you want to discuss? What do you want to discuss?
We need to have I think...
Assume Tomb Raider Go's gone and everyone's bread and butter game is now up for conversation.
I think we need to have the Infinifactory Invisible Ink discussion.
That is bullshit because they're two different games. And
that's really weird.
Pick a game.
Can we talk about Splatoon?
You can talk about
Okay.
Wait. If you want to do the 2-game thing, I will go ahead and say this. Chris.
What?
The multiplayer shooter that's gonna hang, Halo 5 has a tough argument against a game that's legitimately creative.
Wait, what game are we talking about?
Splatoon.
It's also a multiplayer shooter. And I think in typical Nintendo fashion, and I guess I've used this word a little too often during this podcast, but it goes back to being deceptive. Like, face value, you think it's Nintendo making a shooter, it's gonna be cutesy, there's gonna be nothing to it, but then, you start playing that game and there's, a lot of mechanical depth there that you weren't initially expecting. You were thinking painting the floor and being a squid, that's not, no, but actually moving around those levels is the entire game. You need to get good at that.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
8, 10, 11,
It
12,
against
there's
13, 14, 15, 16, 17 games.
So that against Halo 5, I mean, Halo 5, from what I'm seeing in this entire thing, is kind of the more obvious one to be getting rid of.
Halo 5, understand this, Chris, there's another game here that I think is absolutely worse than Halo 5. But
I know what game you're talking about.
But I'm also looking at some of these games, I'm thinking these games are more creative, some of these games are different, there's a lot of depth there, and it's not that Halo 5's multiplayer isn't badass. They want to cut it for things like Halo 5's campaign sucks. Boo fucking who, all the Halo campaigns suck outside of one.
I don't think that's an excuse, though.
That's not an excuse, I understand, that's also a shitty argument. Understood, fair game. I'm just saying, the thing we like about it, understand, I'm with you, but if we're going to do the Splatoon conversation, I will absolutely tell you in advance.
You're going with Splatoon.
I'm going with Splatoon.
Okay. I just want to say that with Halo 5 is serious. Since Halo 2, Halo 5 is the first Halo game where I was actually excited by that multiplayer. While I'm playing it, I feel that I have been challenged by the community, by the mechanics in a way that Halo 3 didn't do, Halo 4 didn't do, Halo Reach didn't do.
Armorlock.
Yeah, Armorlock's garbage, unanimously, obviously. But Halo 5, just the way that slight boost and the clamber.
The little slide move.
Because you know how aggressive I am as
if anything, it added to Chris's style
so well. Because I can now, my biggest problem with Halo is I get into a situation and I have no way to get out. If I made a mistake, I'm screwed. Now I can strafe away from them with that little boost. I can jump back up from where I came. I can do that ground pound thing. There are so many, those slight little tweaks actually make more of a difference than jetpacks.
And they add to the skill ceiling of the game. And then I bring up this scenario, and it got fucking done to me. I felt like such a bitch when it happened. But this one guy jumped out the window, and I'm laughing, thinking, he fell off the map, what an idiot. But what he actually did was psych me the fuck out, and boosted back in through that window, and then caught me from behind, because I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, that was badass as fuck.
Yep.
And the things you can do with that stuff really adds to it. It's the best Halo has felt mechanically.
Absolutely.
Which, whatever, I guess isn't that big of a deal because we're on Halo 7 now, right? So it is it is sort of a thing where it's we're at the point where you better get better at that stuff, right?
It is just such a shot of adrenaline, just not for that series, but I feel
I will say this though. some of the things Halo 5 is currently still missing are ridiculous for multiplayer. There should be a social playlist.
There should.
The way they do... The fact that they brought back the arena ranking from Halo Reach and not the 1 to 50 that everyone at least agrees works better. Just fucking bring back 1 to 50. Let it go. Like, it's no one liked the Halo Reach ranking system.
It's not quite Halo Reach ranking system.
It's somehow worse.
Those Warzone cards, like...
The Warzone should be one of the best additions to Halo, and it's like half a good addition.
Yeah, I was really disappointed
when
in
it's
Warzone.
working, it's such a fun mode because there's so many things going on. But because of the nature of the way the cards work, it very much is exactly what Jeff Gerstmann described at Giant Bomb, which is when you're losing, you're not going to play your cards, and that just means you get your ass kicked. And when you're winning, you're going to button your cards, and you just blow everyone out. It's very rare you get that tight back and forth game.
It's usually 1,000 to 200.
Yeah. And listen, I like winning by blowouts as much as the next guy, but that tight game that you win close, there's a certain rush to it that has always been why we go to multiplayer games. Like, yes, we all like winning in a dominant fashion, but when you win that one close, you win a Street Fighter match with like that minuscule health.
Or, I mean, I can think of a lot of Rocket League matches
when we were down 3-0 in Rocket League, and they were talking so much shit.
Save it for the Rocket League discussion, guys.
Yeah, save that.
Like that's a multiplayer experience you want to have, though.
Yeah, and Warzone has provided that to us once, and I think it only happened because it was the initial month.
I thought there'd be more third, faction stuff with the NPCs playing to Warzone than ended up. I thought it was going to be even more varied, but it ended up not being. And it ended up being, it's just basically big team battle with a kind of a supply system. No one wants to burn their cards if they're losing. Okay. Yeah. So then the rich get richer in this game. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah. Like, I'm fine with Halo 5 going at this point. Just because I don't think Halo ranks with some of these others.
Not this year.
Fair enough.
I think it speaks to a larger thing with...
I think if the campaign was better, I'd back Halo 5 more, but the campaign, I mean, they built it up to be so much better than it ended up being.
It is the worst campaign in the series.
I don't agree with that at all.
I fucking...
Halo 2 exists.
Horrible. It is horrible.
I didn't play it. Whatever. I didn't play it.
The campaig's actually...
Listen, this is not the Halo podcast, so I didn't play it, whatever. Fine, let's move on.
However good it is, it's not... Or bad it is.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's not good enough.
At the very least, okay, me and Chris don't even want to play it, because fuck Halo campaigns. And then Adam and William, who like Halo campaigns, don't like it, so... Yeah. There you go. That's all you really need to see, right? I mean, fair enough. You're not winning anyone over, so...
Sorry, Chris.
That's okay. Alright, so now do we do the safe?
So I was curious.
If we save 7 games, then we have 11 games.
No. I don't want to do the save thing because now we're just saving for the sake of saving. Like now, like I said, like
these are all getting cut.
We're gonna cut some things. We need to get 6 games out of these.
Yeah.
What is it?
I think 11. We have like 4, 5, 6, 11
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. We got to cut half of them, right?
Yep.
Ooh.
Okay. Is anyone? Hold on. Is anyone willing to be the coward and let one of their games go? I'm only negative about this because I want you people to defend your shit for once.
I already did it.
Okay, you did. No, you did a good job.
I already blew up once. I'll blow up again.
You're allowed to blow up, but I'm just saying, like, let's... Yeah. Like I said, early in the podcast, we were cutting each other off a little too much.
Ben?
We're at the phase where you need to let someone talk.
Ben?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
How strongly do you feel about Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate? Because you know nobody else in this.
Monster Hunter...
Brian does.
Brian
Ben and Brian.
That is a
and great... 2, Monster Hunter 4 is my number 1 game of the year.
So he's very, very strong about that.
All right, I was just asking.
I've put more time into that game than any other game this year. It's a non-Nintendo game. It's a Capcom game.
But it's on.
Can we cut Undertale, system. Please?
No, why Undertale?
I don't know, because it's funny looking.
That's a really bad place to start from.
Because horrible argument.
No, not the game. Just the way I'm looking at the list. Because
you'll have Infinia Factory and Invisible Ink, but you'll cut Undertale.
Okay, wait, time out. You guys keep talking about those two games like they're the identical game. They are.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm just saying that those are like those. Let's put those at the same level of Undertale, and there's a bunch of us who really like that. But it doesn't seem there's many people here who are going to bat for either of those other two.
I mean, listen.
Yeah, what's up with Invisible Ink?
Listen.
Has anybody else played that?
I have, and I think it's awesome. So wait, hold on. We need to have.
Okay.
Here are the big arguments I want to have already.
Okay.
Destiny: The Taken King. Let's get that one out of the way.
Is it an add-on or not?
Let's get the Destiny: The Taken King. I want to be the asshole that says, is that going or is that staying? Because
I've got over 20 hours of content just from Taken King content. It's got more content than the base game did. Yes, that's how bad the base game was. But it's 100% true. Not to mention
that? I mean, whatever. Okay. You're saying that, but then like every other outlet, borderline fucking any poster on NeoGAF will tell you the Taken King is less content than it was arguably better content, but it is less content than the original game. Like, you're also throwing
really?
Apart. Yeah,
I've heard that.
They've all said that it's very much 2/3 of the content.
Taken King taken without any of the expansion packs that came before it is actually less content than the original Destiny.
Yeah, like, let's be clear here. Like that argument does not fly. Like now you're arguing against
when you buy the Taken King Legendary Pack or whatever, you get like House of Wolves or whatever.
Yeah, like that's the difference. You didn't buy the DLC. Like,
and you get those, just cut it as an add-on then. Like, let's not even have this discussion because it's an add-on, clearly. Less content than the base game. I don't even want to go into it. Just cut it.
Well, no, if you like
it's not worth defending because it's an add-on and you'll never, ever let it in the top 10 because you hated Destiny in the first place. I'm not even going to have the discussion because it's better than Destiny was.
Well, then fine, go that route.
Completely.
Go.
But here's the thing, is that you're right. You're
not up against me, you're up against them. And then you listen. As much as I hated Destiny, if you have the argument for it, Wazzy, I just want to hear your side of the story. Fine?
Okay.
You guys, the floor is yours. The floor is yours. What did they fix? What did they improve, please?
Well, they fixed absolutely everything.
So go. Let's go.
So, first off, the biggest problem with Destiny 1, when you were doing the missions, they really had no point other than you get a little intro at the beginning, little outro at the end with Peter Dinklage talking to you throughout the whole thing. First off, they replaced Peter Dinklage. That was actually good because he was terrible compared to Nolan North. Sorry, Dinklebot, but that's just how it is. But then these missions actually had personality, and they had a story properly told. They actually had reasons to play, and they properly moved through more like a first-person shooter level should. Something Destiny was completely devoid of when it first came out. You had these, so you actually had someone talking to you constantly, bringing up points and stuff. You even had the ability to scan items in the world to actually get a little bit more backstory of it, and it filled out all the stuff that they started talking about in the first game. The encounter design was 1,000 times better. You weren't always just going somewhere, slapping a ghost down, and then defending for 5 minutes. You were actually beating bosses and mini bosses and just going through a lot better designed levels. And that's just for the missions part of the thing. One of the bigger changes they made is that when you're in the open world, the Taken armies, they kind of attack every once in a while. So it brings a lot more dynamic life to the entire open world. You can even decide, okay, the Taken armies are attacking. I can start killing them and killing their lieutenants, not only getting more loot, but then also triggering another, like a world boss battle, which is really cool. But the biggest thing I've noticed is that once I actually beat all the kind of the single player content, let's say, you can play co-op, but it's essentially single player content. I've been bombarded with tons of quests from the quest givers that all revolve around doing more of the world activities, more of the stuff that was like, hey, we have this big open world. Let's use it instead of just, you can now run strikes over and over and over. And while running heroic strikes and stuff, as their design is much better than the original 3 or 4 strikes that Destiny had, that's still a big part of it. I'm finding myself spending a lot more time in the open world.
What's the difference in heroic strikes? I know
they're
what
just
regular
harder.
Strikes are.
They're just harder. Yeah, they put everything at level 41, which
they
is...
They scale up to match your level, essentially.
So here's my question. Have they finally gotten to a point where like the elemental shit actually matters? Because Chris, back on play here, the way Destiny handled difficulty was complete and utter garbage.
Yo.
It's there more than it was. But the problem is that they can't get away because you only have essentially three weapons at any time with no ability to change it. Relying completely on elemental damage is never going to be their thing, but you notice a big increase in your damage, and you can beat bosses a lot quicker if you're using elemental. And I've never actually been able to attempt.
Wait. Here's my question on that. I understand that part of the issue is that they effectively had to make missions with the following idea in mind. A player's going to have three weapons at a time, and it can be one of anything, right? Like, I get that they can't really make this the sniper mission because they don't know if the player's going to have a sniper. Mm-hmm. I look at it a different way. Given the way that the loot system works, and given that it's a shooter, and then the weapons are the tools, why can't they outright just expect the player, like, if the player's understanding the game, he should understand that, listen, some of this missions I'm going to need my legendary rocket launcher. Other time I'm going to have to use my blue sniper rifle because it's a sniper mission. Like, because
you're putting too much, in that case, you're putting way too much emphasis on more loot, on no more loot gathering.
No more loot gathering?
You have to gather more loot because you're like, okay, so it's a level 40 mission, but I only have a level 20 rocket launcher, and I got to go grind to find a rocket launcher just to do this mission. You end up gating people from progressing simply by saying, oh, you have this whole the scout rifle thing you've been playing the whole time. You have to dump that for a sniper rifle because, and if there was an easy way, if there was
doesn't buff that way.
Yeah, if there was an easy way to say, hey, as you're leveling up, you can swap this gun to make it a sniper rifle with the same stats, then yeah, you could get away with this, the sniper section and stuff. But because the way they went with a much more traditional, RPG MMO style loot grind, you can't really bake that into your thing. So that's the reason why they can't do that.
That would be creating the exact sort of walls that
basically
people were talking about in Xenoblade and stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be really unfair to people who really do base a lot. I mean, if you have a guy like me, I'm pretty aggressive. I don't like sitting back. Forcing a sniper level I get it in a single player sense, but this is really kind of a co-op game.
Yeah.
Its overall design is that you really shouldn't be just trying to run it solo. And I've hit that wall finally in the Taken King where they really, the quest design and whatnot at this point is like, you should have a fire team at this point. You should not be doing this solo. And the game's, I think it's better for it because it isn't multiplayer.
So here's the thing. When you said I couldn't rip the first game, and you won still. And I went back to this, and your own argument, if anything, makes my point. Not against the Taken King, for the record. If anything, the argument you made for the Taken King, you made it sound like the missions have a little bit more variation going on than they did initially, right?
They do.
Okay, so that's the one thing I stand by that you can't fix about Destiny. Like, that part will always
They did fix it,
and
but
they
not...
fixed it in the Taken King. They didn't fix it in Destiny 1. Let that go.
Oh, they did. They did. Because they changed the level scaling so you don't only have to do about 50% of the content in Destiny 1.
I mean, the solution was so you skip the content.
I ran through...
The point is...
That sounds good.
The point is
a good thing.
Yes.
But it actually works because they think, okay, when you create a new character, Destiny 1 and Taken King are not two separate games. That you cannot think of them as two separate games. The original Destiny does not exist anymore. And that's... I say that's how they fixed it.
I'm fine with the Taken King. Whatever. I will say this. I like your argument so far. It's a good argument.
And I didn't even get to the PvP, and then they've been doing such a damn good job with it.
And the difference in just the super, the events that they've been putting out, and the huge improvement to the classes in general, just from the
yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask about?
The loot system, the ability, just the ease of figuring out your levels with the light levels and stuff, it's just made... I think the best thing I feel is when I replayed a character from 1 to 40, then grinded light levels, every time I went out into the world, I felt like I was progressing. I did not feel that...
Ben has a question.
I had a question. I mean, you're talking about, you need a fire team, and it sounds like it's a good thing for the game's design that there's more stuff in the game that requires teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
Are there still, how's the matchmaking stuff progress in terms of being able to gather people for a group within the game itself?
There is matchmaking, just straight up matchmaking playlists to do heroics, to do all the strikes and stuff.
So it's for all the strikes. It's is it just the raid or?
They're still not doing matchmaking for the raid.
Okay,
that's it.
But the stuff for the strikes does work very well. It's very quick. Usually,
I will say after playing on a Saturday afternoon, trying to grind a couple strikes out to get this one mission, this one quest done. And the new strikes in Taken King are quite good, actually. They actually use more environmental puzzles, way better scenario design and whatnot. But if I had to try to matchmake with people to do something more difficult than Heroic Strike, I'd probably want to kill every player that played Destiny because people are really bad at that game.
I can believe that.
You absolutely need your teammates to be on point if you want to get past some of those Heroic Strikes. I couldn't imagine what the raid would be like.
Yeah.
So I know everyone gave Bungie shit for no matchmaking in the raid, but
well, let's put the brakes on that.
So I still come up with the same conclusion. I understand that the community can be idiots, but understand it's my right to play with the fucking idiots.
This game was published by the same
you would end up hating. You would end up hating that content.
No, you wouldn't. Because listen, looking for raid is a thing in World of Warcraft, and they have raids that are specifically tuned for the less people who are not on the skill level, and people are still able to go and they don't get like as high of a tier of item, but they still get a rewarding item at the end of looking for raids. So why can't they do that here?
They could do that. But they just haven't, and I'd rather them spend their time doing what they've done with the strikes, because those you're going to play a lot more often anyway.
Well, that's another thing I have a problem with too, is that now they're not doing the the Mark of Wolves or House of Wolves, whatever, and Dark Below anymore. And this was supposed to be for them to facilitate having a live team that would then put together these things. And all they're really doing are these little cheesy events now. Yeah. What's up with that?
Why is
and that whole thing was a justification for them adding in microtransactions and charging for level ups and things like that.
Why is it that they've come up with creatures like Crota and then I guess whatever the Crota son is, but then it still comes down to Bungie's still goddamn garbage at making boss fights, to the point they have yet to make an actual boss creature, and instead take one member of an enemy faction that you fight, like take the Hive, for instance, right? And then just make the wizard thing bigger.
That's not how their bosses and their strikes are, though.
What's
some of their bosses aren't just bigger.
All the Taken King ones, or
yeah.
Okay, so they finally added actual creatures to that.
Yes, they're significantly different. They're not just hey, look, it's a really big ogre.
And they also do better job. It's not just you fighting the boss in a thing. They have now used environmentals a lot better. One boss literally has you jump. It's a jumping puzzle in the middle of this big fight. Because if you stand on these areas, you get zapped to death. And it just makes you think more situational. Another one, you're in the pitch black and this thing is coming after you. That's kind of a pain in the ass because they also spawn these ads that you might have to manage. As the scenario design has gotten.
Listen, that automatically sounds like, Chris, back me up here. That sounds like something we never did in Destiny.
I mean, it sounds like it's good design, but I'm not seeing anything that's like super new or interesting here. Like it all just seems like they looked at Warcraft and said, "Hey, that works."
Well, it's more so. Well, first of all, like admirable that they did fix it, because understand that the things you are describing.
They are still charging money for it.
The things you are describing are the things that Destiny 1 should have fucking done, but they didn't. And it's great that Bungie discovered game development and
but now they want you to spend $40 more for their fixes.
Which whatever. I don't want to get in. I don't want to get into this pricing thing again. I just think that's fine. I like your argument enough, not necessarily for the stick, but I'm okay, was okay. You've had your.
I'm glad we're having a discussion about how it's improved, considering how much we spent time shitting on the game.
Let's not say we. Let's give all the credit where credit is due. The amount of time Goggin has put in burying this game.
That time you've devoted specifically
on our podcast
to shitting on Bungie whenever possible.
Whenever possible.
Goes into it would be long hours if we were to tally it.
Yes. Yeah. In theory, you've made a good argument for.
So I'm glad we've come back to this game, whatever happens with it. So, I feel like
if you want to cut it, though, I don't want it to be cut, but it sounded like only me and Will are really going to defend this one here.
I mean, I feel like a bit of an asshole raising this argument, but you specifically said, this basically is what Destiny is now.
Well, it is. So, I mean, it's hard to say that Destiny was the game.
I mean, right, but
Well, it's an expansion because you
Here's
gate
the thing. I don't want to use the Wazi was basically cutting it as an argument because he was emotional, and now that he's calmed down, he's like, okay.
This is good.
But I am saying I am so of the opinion that game just doesn't hang because we've got more creative stuff here. But okay, fine. I at least think Wazi's presented a great argument for his game. Like that much, I think we should all be able to agree with.
Yeah.
Also, their gimmicky little event things. SLR Racing was a lot of fun, minus the fact that I swear to God, the game had something out for me.
The only area I will not let the only area Wazi is not getting a pass on is the part where he almost defended the get the fuck out. The Crucible sucks. Anyway,
it's different. I mean, again, you have, like I say, Destiny's not the same because a lot of these gameplay changes were added to the original game. They just have way more. I haven't played it that much, but it's a lot more fun than it was.
Oh, come on! Like, what?
I mean, yeah,
on to a different game, please.
Yeah, just
like,
guys, I don't watch soccer enough, but I hear.
Just cut the stupid game. Obviously, it's only going to be me and Will, and we're going to keep having these arguments over and over. So whatever.
It's fine. The other game, Monster Hunter 4 is just Ben and Brian. Like that's hanging for a little while. So let's.
How is Soma not been attacked yet?
So yeah, you can cut Soma
because it's Goggin. I'm afraid to cut anything.
We haven't even talked about it.
I really didn't like Soma.
Okay, well then Goggin has to say why he
I was
liked
gonna
it.
say it can go because I think it's unfair for me to gas up a game that I haven't even beaten yet when you guys are this passionate.
Oh man, the ending sucks so bad, dude.
Oh, does it really? The story's so good though right now.
We said that it probably
such a fucking cop out. Like,
to be fair, no. Here's the thing, Phil. I did say to Chris and Ben, I was like, I'm so invested, but these type of stories always end stupid. Because they get so metaphysical about it, and then it's like, psych! It's like, alright, fine, that sucks. I mean, listen, I think Frictional Games is a fantastic horror game developer, and this is more of that. I do think it being less of what Amnesia and Penumbra were doing as a game hurts its cause. I think because I've seen a AAA version of their formula at work, whether or not I think it's as good. I don't think Alien Isolation is as good as Amnesia, but there was something novel to that AI, which added a lot to that experience. And then,
it's almost like pick something up here.
Yeah, and it because they watered it down too much. Like, I'm not even saying that
it's a gross looking thing.
Like, it does take away from some of the gameplay. And overall, again, like, I think it's unfair that you people have beaten your games that you're passionate about, and then I haven't beaten.
How's that unfair?
That
sounds very fair.
No.
I beat so much.
No, time out. I think you heard me wrong. I think it's unfair for me to hold up the podcast for this one game.
Okay.
When you guys are passionate about your games and then went through the trouble beating it. Like, that's disingenuous on my part.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so we're almost in the top 10. We're
getting there. All right.
Little by little. Okay.
Couple more to go.
All right. There are a few games that haven't been talked about.
Until Dawn
discussion.
Who's actually going for Until Dawn? Is that just Phil?
That's
just
Phil's
baby.
That's Phil's baby.
No one else played that?
Nope.
I have no interest in those kind of games.
I really want to play
what I've
it.
seen of that game actually seems very cool.
I really want to
I would
play
love to play it, but I haven't played it yet.
As someone who really likes Scream and anything that likes us,
who's seen Cabin in the Woods?
I have.
Is it like an interactive
play
version
Until
of
Dawn?
Cabin in the Woods?
Oh man,
you should definitely play Until Dawn.
Sold.
Ooh, that sounds pretty good.
Like, I have a feeling this is gonna be one of those games where, like, I want it cut now because I haven't played it, and then I'll go back and say,
and
Phil
then
was
we
right.
fucked up.
I think I can talk about this game without spoiling it. So
all right, so do it.
I think
I
can
play
do
it
that.
on us,
so,
Phil.
All right, so Until Dawn. Back in 2006 when the first Heavy Rain trailer came out, and people were like, "Oh man, this is like the future of adventure games." And then Heavy Rain came out, and it was like, this fulfills that promise. For one, I mean, the production values are incredible. I mean, they should be because it's Sony first party. Like, the game looks good, it sounds good, like, it's very, like, the camera angles are very good, there's no, like really jilted cuts or anything like that. The environments are detailed, they're just full of objects and just full of, like, personality. It just feels lived in, like a movie set, should. it introduces these characters that have like these weird little tropey type things, and then tries to subvert them in weird ways. Or you can play it so where you don't subvert them at all, and you just let that person play into like the dumb blonde stereotype.
Right.
That's up to you. Like the choices that you make, whether you're going to go this way or that way or whatever, they actually have consequences that you can't see, like the machinery moving on. So, every character can die in the game.
That's so cool.
And every character can also live in the game. And it's very hard to tell from even 2 playthroughs that I've done now, like where exactly, the moving parts are to cause that to happen or not happen. The performances are largely good. There's a couple of people in there that I think kind of phone it in a little bit. Peter Stormare is in it. He's the Volkswagen commercial guy, the Russian guy.
Oh my god, I love Peter
He looks a little creepy in that game.
He is very creepy in this game, and it's totally intentional. He's just like
so good. So good.
His uncanny valley face?
Yeah, when he's talking, I feel like he looks
in the very beginning of the game, it's they're trying to, because he's very clearly talking to someone who went through the events of the game, and you're not supposed to know who that person is, and so at the very beginning of the game, he's very like disconnected and kind of jointed, and then later on he becomes very personal when he's talking to the person, and then that effect gets lost. And I think that's something that gets caused just by the way he's trying to play the character. But yeah, this game is like a really, really cool, like if you like any kind of like horror movie, trope subversion or anything like that, like definitely check this game out. I don't think it was worth like $60 when they put it out, but I paid $60 for it, and I don't feel like I was ripped off. It's a game that I played through with Maria once, and then I played through again just on my own once because I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know unless you guys have some questions. I don't have that much more to say about it.
Yeah, I don't even necessarily want it cut. I just wanted to have that conversation.
I mean, all I've seen of it really is I caught a handful of Dave Lang's playthrough on the extra live stream, including like the very end, and it just seemed like the execution was just strong in terms of like being that kind of horror experience.
Yeah,
and having those like making those decisions and things playing out.
It's really cool because you could have a different interpretation of the events of the story depending on what kind of choices you've made throughout. Just because some things you just won't see because, hey, that character, you caused them to die earlier. Yeah. Stuff like that. That's just really cool. And in most games that do that, like the Telltale games, you definitely see the moving parts immediately. Yeah. Okay, well there were 2 choices here, but no matter which one I picked, I would have been okay. In this one, it's like, well, I don't know, because it like takes a bunch of these different choices and gives different consequences, depending on the combination.
I think the coolest description I've heard for the game is that you're not really playing the characters, you're playing the director of the movie.
Yeah, so like as a general rule, like they give you these little character profiles when you take control of different characters. And this person will be honest, or this person will be like humble. And if you play closer to what you think that character would do in a situation, it'll lead you along a better path. And if you kind of like subvert and kind of play like as what you would do, that can not go well for you sometimes.
Your interpretation of that archetype.
Your interpretation of that archetype or that character is basically how it changes. So, I mean, it's about a 10-hour game. And if I had one knock against it, is that on a second playthrough you can't skip cutscenes.
Oh,
that's my only knock against it.
That's it. That's
I really, really loved it. And
you had me until that moment.
Oh, that's like cinematic walking, man. It kills the game.
And
I don't know if that's fair. Walking. It's probably not fair. But
speaking of cinematic,
So yeah, it's definitely one of my top 10 games of the year. It just didn't make my top 5. Okay. Yeah, I loved it, and it came out of nowhere for me. Like it was something that I had seen at like the Sony conference. I was like,
right.
probably not as good as David Cage games.
I always liked the idea of that game the second they announced it.
All right. Speaking of cinematic
Chris was honestly
walking,
the only one that was believing in it for the longest
Yeah,
time.
no, I was like, guys, think about this game with a group of friends.
Like, Chris kept looking at it as a comedy, and we were all like, no, let's play it straight face. Let's play it straight face. And then it comes out.
actually, the first time the game made sense was they did that one live demo at was it PSX or something?
Yeah.
And people in the audience were shouting out, like, go left, go right, right in the closet.
Yeah.
And it was like,
there is
Oh,
a
I get
streaming element too. Like it has that thing where if you're streaming it on Twitch, people can type stuff into the chat that will change your outcome. Like it has that in it, kind of like a Tomb Raider had like a health thing when it came out. Like but I don't know how much that really changes your experience of it.
Ben, what are you more invested in, Infinifactory or Invisible Ink? Because I'm guessing
honestly,
either way, you think Monster Hunter 4 is better than both of them.
I do.
And I don't think you need to make it one of them.
Let me look at my list.
Don't look at your list. Gut reaction.
Gut? I think it's Invisible Link.
Then I am fine with Infinifactory going. I'm willing to save my energy for defending a puzzle game until The Witness next year.
I think The Witness is going to be awesome.
Witness doesn't come out this year.
So Infinifactory just got cut.
Yo, if
The Witness release date is January 26th.
Yo, if The Witness sucks...
Yeah, for right now.
If The Witness sucks, it will be way worse than the way I've been about Destiny. It will be so much worse. I will be an asshole every podcast. I will be insufferable every podcast.
I almost want it to be terrible.
You're not already? How much worse did you get?
Worse.
Oh, God.
There's layers to
Wazzy,
Please
you're not on
don't
enough
suck.
podcasts to know this, but trust me, it gets worse.
Yeah. God forbid they ever try to say anything positive about Dragon Age Origins. I'm like, get the fuck out, please.
I know, it's terrible.
All right,
You can't even talk about games you like.
This got brought up. Speaking of cinematic walking, we have a conversation about Ori and the Blind Forest.
That game does not have... Oh, yeah, fuck.
Oh, no. It can't have
That,
cinematic
no.
walking.
No.
Yes.
Not gonna cut.
Yes.
No.
It really is a cinematic walking. We're not... You're really serious about cutting Ori and the Blind Forest?
I beat that game, and I want people to talk about it.
Okay, well then, okay. Well, I go back to what I said when we talked about it. I think...
Wait, is it Until Dawn? Okay.
We haven't cut it yet, because I think all of us thought Phil's argument was good again, right?
I do think it's a good argument, so.
Yeah, so far,
But you're all biased because y'all want it to be good, and you all hope it's going to be good.
I love how he says this. Okay, time out. Before you're I understand that you're joking.
You need to cut 4 games from this list.
We just did the Destiny conversation. No one can say I'm biased towards Destiny. Who was the first one in line to say that was a good argument? Just throwing that out there.
No, I'm just saying that y'all... The thing is, you haven't played it. Like...
That's fine. I'm just saying.
Wazzy, you and I won. Just back off.
Yeah, let it go for now. We can cut the Taken King if you prefer. I think with Ori and the Blind Forest, the thing I really like the most is that, yes, it's mechanically tight, and that's awesome about it, and I think that should matter on some level. But the real thing that's really awesome about, and the fact that it's the Blind Forest, is I think there's more than enough Metroid-like games out there that don't really nail their setting as well as they should, and they find a way to do the whole, you're gonna get upgrades and you're gonna get to different parts of the map in a way that feels organic and not go, like Guacamelee, we keep going back to this, it sucks because it's just, get this, now I can break yellow doors, now I can break red doors. And Ori, because it was more platformer than anything, a lot of it became about elevation. Now you could reach different heights. Now you could do certain things, and they were creative about it. It wasn't as simple as just, now you have a quadruple jump or some shit. It was...
there is, now you have a triple jump.
There is a triple jump, but that's not the point. That's not the only time it does it. Like, the big one is the bash move.
Oh my god, bash is, like, profound.
Where either something is being shot at you, or you use the enemy hold, and then you use the enemies to get to a new, higher vantage point or a different angle. And then there's the weird, like, wall tackle move that you use to break through things. The way when you get rid of the poison in the water, like now, or you can swim, like it felt like a natural evolution of that world, as opposed to opening doors, and that's awesome to me, because it's like, people, like, that sounds like the simple thing, but then I will tell you, here are the Metroid games that get that right. Super Metroid, and then Metroid Prime? Like, come on, that's like, okay, in case you haven't noticed, it's literally the same franchise. Like, Castlevania, I understand why that game works the way it does, but they're doing their own thing, right? That's fine.
That's feels pretty good.
But like every other game, like if it's not Castlevania or if it's not Metroid and whatever, the Souls games do it great in 3D and Arkham Asylum, but the 2D ones, where I feel like it should be easier for them than anyone, right? Because I think we would all agree, doing that Metroid-style world takes so much TLC to get right in 3D, right? Because it's just more complicated.
Right.
The 2D part is supposed to be that you made the job simpler, yet all of them get the superficial side. Like, I hated Strider as a Metroid game. But I think this nails that in a way that is special. Like, I understand that your argument, like, I don't disagree with it, that Ori is exactly what you think it is when you play it. Like, once you get it, like, there's no surprise left in Ori and the Blind Forest. It's just good old-fashioned, it plays well, the level design is tight, it's got somber music, and because it's an indie game,
art design is absolutely stunning.
The art design is impeccable. It might be, if it's not The Witcher 3, Ori is the best-looking game in the year.
It is absolutely
game.
Ori.
If it's not Witcher 3 and Battlefront, I'm sorry. If it weren't for those two games, I don't think you can make an argument for another game that looks better than this.
I mean, the two things I would kind of say, three things I guess I would say about Ori is, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said. It's a beautiful game. You move through the levels very smoothly, and I like how that progresses. Mm-hmm. Soundtrack is nice. I didn't find the puzzles I moved through, the things I solved, that interesting.
I mean, I would agree with you if I felt any of them were actual puzzles.
So
I don't think it's a puzzle game.
Or I mean, even the platforming challenges. Like I guess I'm weird because I'd had that much trouble with it compared to some people. It seems like.
I'm not disagreeing.
I don't mean as a knock against you. That's just how it looks.
I died 500 times. You died 166. I don't really understand how that happened either.
And I have 98% completion of that game, so I don't know. But like there's that. The combat is really boring, and it does make you do that sometimes. It's just like you run back and forth and mash a button.
Right. It's not necessarily as smooth as what works in Castlevania or Metroid in that regard.
And I think the storytelling stuff, like, it's not that good.
I mean, it sucks. I mean, I don't want to say sucks, but
sucks is strong.
I don't fucking care.
I liked what they were going for, but I didn't really care.
Listen, I actually want to go back on this. I want to say that we don't want to say sucks as it's strong. Neither of us gave a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't give a fuck. I did not give a
I mean, no game left here sucks.
Fuck. Yeah.
By any means.
Well, I'm just saying that the story part of it is like, who fucking cares? Like, the big thing dies at the very beginning of the game. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Yeah, I think that's spoilers. When the game is like at its best is that opening sequence, and after that I didn't particularly care. But I just I don't know. I just want to kind of piggyback on what Goggin said. Like the evolution of that world and the way that it lets you get to more places. And I find that game to be difficult. I've died almost 150 something times.
I mean, like a 5-man studio is schooling Nintendo on how to do Metroid right now. Because I don't think Fusion's world is as good as.
And Nintendo they don't even sit in the same building. They communicate via email and Skype and shit because they're all over the world. But
I also think that like we talk about all these 2D games that get by on art direction. There's a lot of good visual tricks in Ori and the Blind Forest, like from the way they handle camera angles to the way that like you'll get that like weird like I don't know how to describe it. It's like the background is where you're playing, right? Mm-hmm. And then they're like you could see like part of a tree hanging over the screen in a way.
Yeah.
Like it gives the world.
They're good layers.
Yeah.
There's
strong visual language in the game. I think like the moments where it tries to mix it up aren't good, right?
I also really don't like. I mean, I also really don't like how I can't get 100% in the game because they locked off an area behind me.
That's a sin. I'll agree with that. That is a Metroid sin.
Whoa! Wait, it's a game like that locks off an area.
There's a certain point. There's certain areas where if you don't get it 100% for a certain time period, you can't go back. What? It does the Arkham City thing.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Ouch!
Like that is a big sin.
I'm at
that's like one of those unwritten rules.
And it has cinematic walking. This isn't looking good.
It's a 2D game with cinematic walking. Trust me, it bothers me.
And it locks you. Oh. It's got to do something special, real special to keep going on.
I still think it plays beautifully, though.
It is immaculate. I think, like in terms of,
like I know we're gonna do that stupid thing where X game plays better than other games and blah blah blah. But honestly,
I haven't
Ori
played a
plays
platformer
fantastic.
that plays that good in a while.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm looking at this list
So,
and going,
so you think it's a better
Bloodborne-
platformer than Super Mario Maker?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Then?
do.
Right, so
I
we should
do.
just cut
Yes.
Super Mario Maker.
I don't want to cut Super Mario
Brian,
Maker,
no.
though, because it's a completely different thing.
I don't
Listen,
know.
listen. If
Right,
we're
one's
arguing-
good, one's
listen,
just
We
more
haven't
Mario.
had the Super Mario
Wait,
Maker
wait,
discussion.
We
I'll
have to
say
talk
this-
about Super Mario Maker at some
I'll
point.
say this:
But-
if Brian's levels are being argued for the top 10, for pure nepotism, I'll put them there because I love Brian's levels in Mario Maker.
No, Brian's levels are legitimately great.
They're legitimately fantastic. I'm in awe of some of the things he's been able to do.
That quest for the mushroom
then
level is
technically-
fantastic. That
Technically,
Thwomp
that would make
level
Brian
almost broke
a
me.
developer.
Which makes this a conflict of interest.
He has
yes,
to recuse
Phil.
himself. He has to
I don't
recuse
know.
himself
That's
since he's
stupid.
the developer.
We're joking, Ben.
Of the game.
Relax.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, listen. I've had a lot of fun watching my nephew play that game, and just watching the joy leave his eyes when he gets a scumbag level. It's just
Oh.
If they keep
I was not expecting this to go.
Wow.
Listen, it's one thing when he gets a good level, but when he finally discovers, well, listen, you all understand this. When you get that one level that you know the developer made to make you feel like shit, you're like
Like the level that we made, that nobody beat.
Yeah, it's like Armand, you're thinking that this changes over the course of history of video games? No.
It's always going to be this
I mean,
way.
sometimes it's not just a level. Sometimes they make a game in a beloved series, and they call it Assault Horizon, and it shits on everything you love about an entire series.
The
Mario Maker
Get
is
used
the
to.
Assault
All right, Brian.
Get used to this.
Brian,
Yes.
do you want to hear the knock against Mario Maker first, or would you prefer to argue it first?
You know what? I'd be happy to argue it for it first.
Go for
if you like. Okay, hold on a second. I made notes. Hold on a second. I gotta reach for it. Okay, I got them. All right. Ahem. Gentlemen, friends, let me talk to you about Super Mario Maker. Super Mario Maker is a level creator. And for all intents and purposes, it's a game that really shouldn't, work. It's a game, when first announced, a lot of questions like, I mean, what can fucking go wrong? About everything can go wrong with this game. Nintendo's making it. Nintendo and the internet? Well, that's a disaster waiting to happen right now.
Does Nintendo even know what the internet is? We're not so sure.
Some days I have to wonder. But, I mean, how intuitive is this going to be? How flexible is this creation going to be? Am I just limited to Mario and Mario U? How am I going to share this shit? How many ways can Nintendo fuck this up? And a couple E3s went by and they rebranded it slightly, and then Nintendo unleashed this creation onto the world on a dying platform with a gimmick controller. It's a game that shouldn't work, but it does. And let me tell you, my friends, it works
When you say it shouldn't
spectacularly.
work, let's be fair here. Let's be fair. When you say it shouldn't work, it's because we have very little faith in Nintendo in that regard. But understand, if there was ever an idea that made perfect fucking sense,
Oh, absolutely.
then yes, Super Mario Maker is a no-brainer, if anything.
Is a no-brainer idea, but all the things that could go wrong with it,
On a
could've
sheer
sunk that.
execution level, there's so many things that could go wrong on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but none of them are oh my god, it's so hard necessarily. It's because fuck Nintendo is incompetent with this shit. Understand, that is I don't think that's well. Whatever. Let's get into the thing.
Well, keep going.
Yeah.
Let me keep going.
I think it's a little more complicated than that.
It's a little more complicated than that, but I'll continue. Now I know what you're thinking. There's nothing really new or novel about a level creator in this day and age.
See, we're getting the obesity treatment right now.
Yeah.
Seriously, Brian is on his stump speech.
No, it's all right. More than a handful have billed themselves as user-friendly or easy to use. Plenty of them have customizable options out the wazoo. Hell, even Mario ROM hacks and fan games have been toying with this stuff for years, giving someone, I don't know, enough customizable options to edit everything down to the hair on Mario's ass crack.
I mean, that's disgusting, but continue.
But none of these games can lay a finger on Mario Maker's Butterfinger. On the sheer fact that Mario Maker's creation interface is a goddamn revolution in intuitiveness, in usability, and it makes the fact of making your levels fun, a delight.
I have to say, you can't argue against that. We made we made a level over Skype.
Yeah. Like, let's be clear here. It's not even just like I think people the unsung hero of that thing. Like everyone focuses on the interface and all this stuff. The interface is great. The unsung hero is the part where you can play it as you're building. Like that was huge when we were putting the level together because we literally basically sent like, all right, what's the arc for this jump? And then we built around that. Whereas
you can have
hacks, you make the thing, and then like you're not gonna rewind naturally. There is a magic to how that works in Mario.
Absolutely.
But even just the idea of let me track where your Mario went, so you can figure out where that sweet spot is for that obstacle.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
It's all thanks to that
other games
gamepad.
have done that. Wait, are you saying that's new? Because it's not.
No, but the way that the game...
Little Big Planet has been doing that since number 2.
Yeah, but Little Big Planet sucks.
That's irrelevant to the conversation.
Yeah.
Brian, keep going.
I will keep going. Okay. We'll get all about it.
He did use the word revolution, though, so understand Phil did have a point.
Okay.
I didn't say it was a revolution.
No, he did. I'm saying.
I did.
He did.
But it's just how intuitive it is. But I will continue. Thanks to that gamepad, like, it is extremely easy to just start placing down blocks, setting up enemies, and then, like, you can just test it out like that. Like, you're just like, oh, that jump's not going to work. I'm going to edit that out, test it again, boom, it's there. It's done. You're ready to move on to the next part of the level. Super easy. And the best part about Super Mario Maker creation is that you instinctively know what these tools do. You've got 30 years of Mario built up. You know what a turtle does when you jump on it. You know what happens when you pick up a mushroom. You know how Mario moves and how Mario jumps. You don't have to sit through 30 or so tutorial levels narrated by an exponentially less charming British man as he explains how your game works. You don't have to sift through a paste bin full of red files and how do I put this into this part? Nope, you don't have to do that. You don't have to download hacks and mods, which, I mean, we could go into the dubious quasi-legality of that stuff anyway, but you don't have to do that.
That's right, Brian. Play the legal card, brother.
And there's no need to learn how to code or to script. And there's no intimidation of thousands of bloated tools and quirks to slog through to weigh you down. It's you, it's Mario, it's a blank canvas, and it is glorious.
All right, so...
Is it a video game?
No, I've got another, about 4 or 5 paragraphs here.
Do you really have another 4 or 5 paragraphs?
I absolutely do.
Might be a lot.
Could you, like, Cliff Notes?
TLDR.
Give us the Reader's Digest.
You don't have to do the reduced version, but, like, understand that, like, you focus on a thing that I feel like isn't...
That doesn't need defending.
Yeah.
I know. Okay.
We all agree it's accessible.
Okay. But creating is only half of the game in Super Mario Maker. You also have the act of sharing and playing the levels with others.
Asshole literally wrote a speech.
Yeah, I did.
It's very important.
Brian's just scrolling through his Word document.
Someone would run a limb and say this is Brian's game of the year, but okay.
Oh, it is, actually.
Yeah, okay.
How did you know?
How did you know? But I still find it extremely good to go through levels in that game. You could hop into the 100 Mario Challenge, and the game will serve up a series of levels pinned to 3 different difficulty tiers, maybe only 2 if you haven't played it enough. Like there's a beginner, there's a normal tier, and there's expert, which we will find a lot of scumbag levels. But that's only if you really wish to challenge yourself. You could also go through, if you don't want to go through that route, you can play top recommended levels. You can search for the most stars of popularity to the levels or by region. You could tackle new levels that just got uploaded. You got recommended stuff. You could follow people you like with the levels. Say that, for example, you're playing through the 100 Mario Maker and you find a level that you absolutely liked. You can like that level. You can follow that person and play the rest of their levels. You could go through the levels they themselves have starred and then just continue down a rabbit hole like that. It's crazy.
What about the part where...
It's not that crazy, Reggie.
What about the part where your friends list isn't integrated into the thing?
That should be there.
That should be there. In fact, a lot of things... What about the fact that the game doesn't have a search function?
It does have a search function.
No. I mean like a tagging system.
It does have a tagging system.
When did they add a tagging system?
We're talking about the Mario Maker bookmark, my friend. Which is a new addition to Super Mario Maker. Which you can... Okay, let me set up...
No. We've been through your setup. Right, the point is they have a tagging system. We're getting a cease and desist on you, Mr.
Okay, all right, it does have a tag system. Super Mario Maker's bookmark is in the game, or you could access it on your phone, like you're at the supermarket or something. It's on your PC.
Which supermarket are you shopping at?
one that there's like a lady in front of me who has coupons for everything, and I'm miserable and I need to waste time. Okay. And it'll upload a whole bunch of levels onto the front screen that vary in difficulty, and they have tagging systems that you can go through. You can bookmark those levels, or you can search for really particular things like, I want to have a Yoshi level in Super Mario World underground, and I want this level to have like a bit of a gimmick, like something a little out of the ordinary. And you can search that up. It'll bring up a whole list of those varying difficulties. You can see how many people have played them, how many people have completed them, how many people have died in them. And you just hit bookmark. And once you're done at your grocery store, you could go home to your Wii U
and
it's all right.
Yes, okay, yes.
Absolutely. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another way to do it.
Waste a lot of time at the grocery store.
I know.
It's pretty quick.
You know what? The wasting a lot of time at the grocery store, I feel like represents Brian's essay right now. But
yeah.
Listen, Brian, Oscar-winning performance right now.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm not disagreeing.
I'm sold on Super Mario Maker just going into the top 10 based on that speech.
Based on that speech, I'm glad we're not even calling it an argument.
Well,
no, I mean,
hold on.
We only have to cut 4 games.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, hold on.
We've had major discussions about 4 or 5 different games so far, and we haven't cut any.
Hold on.
We haven't talked about one game on this list either.
That's
true. How about we talk
like
about
Life is Strange?
We also really haven't talked about Undertale at all.
That is true.
I know we haven't talked about Undertale. We just don't want to cut it. But now this is the time to talk about it because that Life is Strange and Undertale.
Hold on. Okay.
Well, the other games, we also had a period where you were allowed to criticize this thing. I don't think Mario Maker. I'm not.
Have your period to criticize because
okay,
I did offer to go first.
I understand that because of the nature of the game, it is what it is. Fine.
Yes.
Fine. But understand that argument has to work both ways, if anything. It both works as a thing you're willing to accept, but it also has to be a thing you're willing to accept that other people are going to find as a flaw of the game.
Yes, absolutely.
You will play a lot of shitty levels while playing Super Mario Maker. That sounds like a shitty argument. Get the fuck over it. That is the nature of that game, is that you're going to play some levels that are garbage. For the whatever. They've done a lot to fix the metagame side of Mario Maker. Now that there's more of a search, now that there's less scrolling levels, like
a lot of older scrolling levels.
Yeah, like I'm glad that those are like paring back a bit. And listen, the good levels are really good. Like having an Super Mario Maker is perfectly built for this modern era of. It's built for YouTube. It's built for Twitch. It's built for all like Twitter and all a social media universe, if you will. It makes sense in this era. Like the fact that it took Nintendo that long is a little silly, but whatever.
Oh yeah.
But they got there with this game.
The point is, like, I still ended up playing a lot of levels that just weren't fun, enjoyable to play, and some of the limitations, like, congratulations, they added checkpoints. Why the fuck can't I make worlds? Why can't I make my levels that because there's plenty of things, like, the joy of Mario, when you think proper Mario, is they teach you one thing, one level, and yes, by the end of it, they evolve it. But some of the best stretches of Mario aren't that they do it once. They actually do come back to that trick. And they keep adding a new trick or a different trick to it, right? Like,
they iterate on that idea.
They keep iterating on that idea, and you get a series of levels. Like, yes, you can still do that by scrolling, but, like, I want to make a proper, like, if I want to make my world 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, why can't I do that? That seems like an odd limitation. When we were doing our Mario Maker thing with the boo rings, I was like, oh, it'd be cool if you could fix where, hey, Brian, fix where the hole is, so it's coming from this way instead. And you're like, well, we can't do that. I'm like, no. There's another big one that we couldn't do in that game that I don't remember right now off the top of my head, because it has been a while. Because I don't mess with the creative stuff. Like, full disclosure, that part of the games have never been, like, I like the idea of an endless supply of Mario levels. I'll probably play way more Super Mario Maker than I will New Super Mario Brothers anything from here on forward. But, like, having to play through shitty levels does suck. And having these odd limitations that ROM hacks have handled is odd. And here's the thing. Yes. We can give credit to accessibility all we want. And that's fine. I understand. We could be more inclusive. It's hard to teach these concepts, but I'm of an opinion that we don't judge these games in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
WASD PC games. I PC games. Phil PC games. William has PC games. Ben PC games. We've had access to Gary's mod. We've had access to all the mods for Half-Life, all the mods for the Unreal Engine. The new Unreal Engine is full on fucking free.
Yeah.
Right? Wazzy, am I wrong in describing it that way?
Yes.
I am wrong in describing it that way?
Yes. Games, it's free to develop on. As soon as you start distributing, you run into money.
I mean,
issues.
But you can get there and play.
Develop. Yeah, but you can develop and play.
Well, yeah, you could develop them online.
Like, half the joy of mods wasn't always
on Unity
giving,
as well. If you want to go that way.
Unity and CryEngine.
Unity is a thing, and then whether Little Big Planet's mechanical failures exist or not, and they do, William, you are correct. Playing Little Big Planet is a problem, but Little Big Planet as a tool, as a creation tool, allows you to do more than Mario Maker. I mean, Little Big Planet 2 isn't a platformer maker. It is a game maker on some level.
Yeah, but all those games suck.
That's an irrelevant argument when we're talking about
I
what
would
Mario
believe
Maker
that
is.
you actually haven't even played Little Big Planet since the first one.
Listen. I'm saying that
Actually, the only one I'm really familiar with are 2 and 3.
Yeah, so listen. I'm not discrediting the fact that Little Big Planet plays poorly, but understand that it doesn't mean we don't get to like criticize the game maker part of Mario Maker. That part is limited compared to other things we've seen. Like, it's novel to me in a vacuum. Like, when it's contextualized and given a qualifier, you start broadening the horizons a bit, and then you start looking at Mario Maker and going, like, yeah, you make Mario levels.
That sounds wonderful.
And
it sounds great.
It's a fun game. The 11th best game
It's the greatest platformer series of all time.
It is still Mario. It is absolutely
the greatest
still
2D platformers.
The same fucking game.
The greatest 3D platformers.
And we kicked off StarCraft. It's had 3 games in the last 10 years.
Oh, okay,
but Mario over here, that's new. Oh, that's great.
I mean, hold on.
Listen, I don't
so,
think
for example,
they got a gamepad.
Well, Ben, go. No, I want to hear your argument.
So, like, for example, like yesterday, I was like, I think the follow tool is like a really great thing in terms of like being able to have ideas and elaborate on them. Because like I followed this one creator, this Japanese developer or
of course
person.
He was Japanese.
And all the levels are like basically one. It was not. I don't know, but all levels are one screen in size. They don't scroll at all, and it's just like all these like various difficult like puzzles. Like you have to figure something out with the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And it uses those mechanics in a way that like you don't see in a Mario game, where it's like I have to figure out how to land on a mushroom so I have some invincibility frames to jump off of some spikes, or I have to like figure out how to use a power block to get myself across a falling platform. And like, kind of like these creative permutations of the mechanics that even Nintendo wouldn't necessarily do with their Mario games. And so they're unlocking all these different parts of an engine we were otherwise familiar with.
Fine.
So I think saying it's like, oh, it's just plain old Mario again. Like that's crazy because you're getting a totally different philosophy behind it.
I don't buy that part of the complaint either.
And a lot of levels are really good because like there's just this huge amount of possibility out there that people are using.
That's right.
Yes.
It's not my number one game, and I haven't gotten as deep into the creation stuff as Brian has for sure. But
I don't think anyone's gone into that as Brian has.
Certainly no one else here. But I've enjoyed my time with the game a lot. Those moments are really special. I want to be able to keep coming back to it, and like it's good to see that Nintendo's been iterating on the game. They've been adding things people have been requesting. They've shown very good support.
Against my old man heart because there's parts of Mario Maker where it just makes it swoon. You know, you get that good feeling. And whatever.
And so it's like sure, like you can't make a calculator in Mario Maker, I think. Yeah. But like you could make lots of great Mario games, the Mario levels, which is like that's the greatest thing. That's the greatest thing you could want. Like, why do you want more than that?
I mean, think of all the Mario levels on Little Big Planet.
Let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away.
Okay,
saying, why
greatest
would I
thing.
want No, not that. Saying why would I not want one more than that? I was like, because I want more than that. I don't want. We're Don Draper over here. We don't want 50% of anything. I want 100%. I want everything I am owed. Entitled son of a bitch over here.
You want Mario Tennis Maker in your Mario Maker? Like,
no, let's not go carried away. But I didn't think, for instance, my argument that it should have, like, you should be able to make a world 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. I don't think that's unreasonable. Is that unreasonable? I don't think that's something that they couldn't throw into the engine. Like, if I was being a dick, it's like, why couldn't you make Mario Kart Maker also in the Mario... Like, that's stupid. I'm not going to go down that path.
I feel like that's kind of what you get into when you talk about Little Big Planet and Unreal Engine and Unity.
But that's the point. Like, understand that this thing is limited at the same time. Like,
understand that you can make full-on Pac-Man or Tetris in Little Big Planet 2 or 3.
Yeah, you can.
And that's fucking rad. Like, understand what we're saying is, though, there's a certain novelty. There's a certain novelty to Mario Maker that doesn't work for us because we're going. I've seen a lot of this stuff. I've seen the thing that we're arguing for instance, the accessibility, as if like the complexity itself isn't cool on its own way. Like, yes, it's harder to do, but it's way more satisfying to create things in those things. Because of, yes, why not? Why wouldn't it be? Because the sheer fact that you have to learn something and get good at something, and that's how difficult it is to make something.
I mean, it's just a different kind of learning curve and set of skills. But I think what makes it, you can get to that creation so much more easily with the way Mario Maker's toolset is designed, and because it's a little narrower in scope, it's able to be so user-friendly. It doesn't have to have tutorial videos or whatever to tell you how to handle your Switch and your connecting it to this other thing. It's able to work that much better. So you can just get to designing levels and going through that learning curve.
Yeah, that's fine. All right.
And that's satisfying. I'm sure Brian could talk about that much more than I could, even with the few things I messed around with.
Yeah.
That was a good process. Just like even going through it myself and thinking that, like these are like things I could add, things I could change. I don't know. I don't want to downplay that.
Fine.
For the sake of the sanity of this group, can we?
Yeah. Here's what I want to do. Because
here's the thing. We need to find some way.
Shut up.
Okay.
Well, I want to end this right now because I feel like I jinxed it when I said I should probably end this call and make sure it's safe. And then I'm gonna go grab myself a drink, and then I'm gonna restart my PC.
So we're gonna take a break.
We're not taking like an extensive break. I'm literally gonna restart my PC and we're back. Understand?
Okay.
But that's like where we left off. We're done with the Mario Maker discussion. We're probably moving on to a different game if we're not cutting.
All right.
Yep.
I'm good with keeping it.
I can.